live with our 46th episode of our podcast, OnPoint, the Gaming Newscast. And I am C Money, and I am here with the very lovely and beautiful and amazing Doodle.
Good morning, everybody.
And we are also here with the fantastically mad Madman.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Woo.
Hey, howdy, hey. Okay, so this it's been a busy week with the news here, and most of it's coming from the crap storm that was the PlayStation showcase.
A lot's been said, a lot's been done. And I disagree with some of the stuff that came out. So let's get to it.
So we have had some time to kind of sit and reflect, kind of think about what was going on at the showcase. And when you watch it, you make your own, kind of conclusions.
Correct.
As you're watching. And we 100% came to the conclusion that it was not good. But when we, you kind of read online, and we did a poll on our community page, and turns out there's a lot of people who thought that it was very good.
Yes, either they did not watch and weren't interested in it, meaning that that's not their thing, or they were super satisfied with it.
Yeah,
and
the people who
it.
did watch it, like the vast majority said they loved it. So and then, you go online, right? And then you read the headlines, right? And a lot of major publications, like, different websites, were out there saying how this was a near perfect show, how amazing it was.
Which makes you wonder, what were we on when we watched it?
So that
this
makes
is the
thing, because that's just PlayStation bias all over again.
Well, yes, right? But as I was kind of reflecting on it and kind of thinking on it, right? PlayStation, just like Xbox, right? The hardcore people, like the people who do things like this, where we talk about games every week, or we're like really in depth about these things.
Mm-hmm.
For us, we are like
not satisfied.
We're not satisfied. We're upset because we didn't get what we wanted to see. That being said, the vast majority of casual people have no idea what they missed. All they did was see what was shown. And this is the thing that PlayStation has always done so well. They can make people believe that the games they're showing you are their games. So somebody who's casual, who watched this showcase because it popped up on their feed because millions of people were watching it, they hopped in and they saw Assassin's Creed Mirage. And in their minds, they said, holy crap, this is a PlayStation game? I need a PlayStation to play Assassin's Creed Mirage? Even though it's a quick Google search would show you otherwise. But people don't do that. Like the casuals don't. So for the casual people who didn't have these wild expectations that we had, where we thought we were going to see all these different first parties, to them, they saw, there were really good games here. And the reason that we think, I'm speaking for myself, but I think that's what we feel. The reason we thought it was so bad was because it wasn't a PlayStation showcase.
So I agree with what you're saying 100%. I think that makes a lot of sense. See, like if you're looking at it as I have a PlayStation, let me see what games are coming out. And you see something like, you see Assassin's Creed, you see Snake, right? What else?
You mean Metal Gear Solid Delta?
Metal Gear Solid, yeah.
Yep.
So you see
Alan Wake, all that fun stuff.
Alan Wake, yes. And you see these things and you're like, oh, shoot, this is dope, right? Now, this is the situation from our perspective, right? So our perspective, we're looking at what is exclusive to PlayStation that we must play, because realistically, like the Xbox is the stronger system. So when you are looking and you're like, okay, I have I'm trying to see if a game is in both systems. Obviously, I'm going to choose to buy the Xbox version or play it on the Xbox.
Because
right?
we have both.
Because we have both, and because that's where the better graphics are. So when we were watching the show, we were looking for exclusivity. We were looking for, I'm thinking Last of Us. I'm thinking Uncharted. I'm thinking like the games that are PlayStation exclusive. Their studios, what did they come up with? I was hoping to see Astro, a second one coming out, but that wasn't delivered, So when every time, and there were great games, I lost it when I saw Assassin's Creed, but then again it settles in, and you're like, okay, well that's multi-platform, is going to the Xbox, and that's where it's going to be played because that's where it will look better, considering the fact that it is a stronger system. So Absolutely. I do appreciate the point that you brought up because, it gives us a different perspective of seeing how maybe people were very happy. For me, the words PlayStation Showcase meant PlayStation games. This is what we're working on. This is what is coming out.
Like
this
PlayStation
is what
Studio
we're doing.
Showcase. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we
Studios
hear when
are
we read
exclusive.
That.
What we've done, because I feel like it's not necessarily fair on a multi-platform game. Obviously, if you have a PlayStation and that's what you play on, yes, that's where you're going to buy it. But those are not their games. They're going to be there, but they're not exclusive to them and special to only PlayStation owners.
PlayStation games, they are PlayStation games.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Like, obviously, like when the Xbox has their showcase, they're going to also be showing third-party games that are going to be multi-platform, right? That's what happens every time. So it's not, the problem was not that they showed us these games because we had to see them somewhere. And the fact that we saw the new Assassin's Creed and all these other big games here is great, right? Like that was awesome. Like that would, with what they showed, if they added their first party studios to this, it would have been insane.
I needed more than just Spider-Man.
And Helldivers 2.
Yeah. And first of all, so Helldivers 2, not for nothing, we saw it on the stream and it looked ass because of the stream. Mm-hmm. But if you watch it in 4K, it actually looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of detail going on.
Okay.
But the point being is that like Xbox is going to do the same thing, but what we are expecting from Xbox and what Xbox has alluded to, like has teased us with, was that we were like literally Phil Spencer on the kind of funny that we went through. Remember the interview?
Yes.
He literally said we were going to see the updates on a lot of those games that Paris had mentioned.
Yes, and assuming, like, obviously PlayStation has not had a show in years. So and the way they called it, PlayStation Showcase, I assumed, and I think it was okay to assume, the fact that they were going to talk about their studios, Naughty Dog, what they were working on.
Yeah, especially when you have your boy Jim Ryan coming out in the beginning.
Yes.
Like, we're going to show you what's
the
next
future,
of the future of
whatever,
PlayStation. It's like, technically he didn't lie, but it's not PlayStation Studios, which is the bummer, right, for us. But again, when you look at it in the mass market, when you look at the people, the majority of people who are owning a PlayStation are not on Twitter looking up PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just experiencing what's available.
And let me make it clear the fact that if I didn't know what PlayStation can do and how amazing their games are, I wouldn't be disappointed.
Yep.
Right? Because they do make first party freaking bangers. I've said it before, they are the best at getting you involved. First of all, with the graphics, with the story, with the character. Like, you feel like you're a part of the game when you're playing it. And that's difficult to do, to make you feel that connected to the game that you're playing, right? To pull you in that way. And PlayStation is amazing at doing that. I was very excited.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. Now, to give you some context, right? Xbox had a pretty cool little little post that they did on Twitter after the show, and they essentially said something like, great games coming, and then they put up a picture with 12 games that PlayStation showed
that are coming to them as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Pointed out to see money. Yeah.
So now the one thing I don't see on here, which if this is the case, that will be wild. But so let me say what I see on here, and then I'll tell you what I don't see on here. Immortals of Avium, right, which was dope. We saw that. Ghost Runner 2, Marathon, which is the new Bungie game, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake, Dragon Dogma 2, Alan Wake 2, The Plucky Squire, Teardown, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Neva, which is your wolf game, Cat Quest, the new one, and Talos Principle 2, right? Now, what I don't see is this game here.
This game, by the way, looks freaking amazing. Shit. So I'm wondering if this is exclusive, but I feel like maybe it's in the works, because I feel like if it were exclusive to PlayStation, they would have made a big deal about it.
It's probably not a PlayStation Studios game, but they probably have like a contract or some shit. Like they probably maybe help them out in development, and now you have to keep it on our platform. Wahaha, sort of.
Okay, so this is a thing. What I just read is that it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive.
I'm shocked that they didn't announce it. I'm shocked they didn't leave it for last.
This would have been
really showcase. This would have been
bro.
it, because this should have been the close. Unless they set it up, unless this show has been set up before, the contract was like finalized or something, and they were still not sure of how this was going to go. I can only assume that this was well put together before it aired, right? Obviously, we got to see it after this entire thing. Yeah, the editing and everything was set up. So maybe the contract wasn't finalized. They weren't sure 100%. This is a huge win for PlayStation if this is exclusive to them, because this game looks freaking phenomenal.
I just hope it's successful.
It should be. I don't think, but graphically, it looks insane. I'm very intrigued. I can't wait to get my hands on that. So that game looks.
You know why?
I'm more intrigued by that game than I am than I was. I was much more into that than I was into what I saw from Spider-Man.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah.
So this is why I think PlayStation didn't officially announce it, because it's not an exclusive where they bought exclusivity.
Yeah.
What it looks like is the game is coming to PlayStation 5, Steam, and Epic Games Store. So they're making a PC version and the PlayStation 5 version, and there's a lot of companies that are just making their game for PlayStation first.
Okay.
Because it's the bigger place.
So it may come out.
Yeah, so what's probably going to happen is that it's going to come out after for Xbox. So they probably didn't want to make a big deal about it, because they're probably working on it at the same time. There might be a small gap, but
I mean, the first game was PC only, so I'd imagine it's their first venture into the console market.
Yeah, so the fact that it's even a PlayStation exclusive at all, though, would still be something that I would be like, hey, timed exclusive, but it's coming.
Yes.
Like, to PlayStation first.
Yes.
Right? Because that is dope. But I think they don't have control over it, because, again, if they decide, you know what?
We finished it, it's coming out at the same time, and we're ready to go, which obviously I can only assume they're eager to do, because, the more platforms they're on, the more the game will sell. So, but this reinforces what we were speaking of before. The fact that Xbox came out right away stating these games are also going to be on Xbox, it says a lot. It says okay, so just so no one's confused, we're getting these games too, right? Because it was called PlayStation Showcase, and it wasn't stated anywhere like this is multi-platform. This is also going to be on, Xbox. It was just not saying exclusive,
It's weird, but it feels like they get the short of the stick a lot. There's been many examples like Nier Automata or the Persona 3 through 5 where it takes forever for them to get the game, even though they eventually did, but like a stupid amount of time. So, this could be either it could take a year or two, or it can even never come out.
I mean, the fact that it's even coming out is a win, because the game looks amazing. So the
It
PlayStation
does.
5 and PC, obviously, I'll probably get it on the PC because it's going to be the better looking version. But that's pretty dope. You know, that they do have that exclusive. It's coming out. It's going to be on PC. So that's a W for sure, like 100%.
Yeah, this right here, also what we're looking at,
Tireless Paths,
this
too.
game looks freaking phenomenal. It was
Talos
made by
Principle, too?
Bungie, correct?
No, that's not Bungie.
That's not Bungie?
No,
that was
that's
a
Marathon.
prediction. but-
Okay.
Yeah, that's just
But that game
this is
looks
part
freaking
2.
amazing.
It's a puzzle game. So that's the one that we were talking about where I was super amped when I saw it first.
Until you realize,
That's how I realized what
the
it was.
graphics are beautiful.
Yeah, graphics are insane.
But
All
that's
right.
where they get you.
So let's talk about some of these things specifically as we kind of look at it. So the first thing I want to talk about is basically starting at the end, not Spider-Man, but the thing right before that, which was that PlayStation handheld.
Yes.
So for those who haven't heard of it or seen it, PlayStation is releasing a handheld that was heavily rumored. So we knew that this was coming. The pictures were leaked and everything. But we just didn't believe it, you know, because it looked so stupid
It
that
did.
we didn't think it was real. So we had it's basically a PlayStation 5 controller
Split.
in half
Like
and
they dropped it and they
stretched
said,
out.
what can we do with this? Just put
Yeah.
a tablet in between.
And they just put a tablet in between it.
Hmm.
And that's it. And the tablet has no function. So it's not like, you know, any like the G Cloud handheld. It's not like the Steam Deck.
It's not like the Switch.
It's not like the
that-
new Ally that's coming
ROG.
out. It's nothing like any of those. It's not even like when you put your phone in to dock because
Mhm.
you can do many things with your phone. This is literally just for the actual streaming from the PlayStation, not from the cloud. So it's not like you're streaming from the cloud, these PlayStation 5 games. Your PlayStation has to be on, okay? And whatever the PlayStation is doing, that's what's going to stream to your device. So right now, that's what I do anyway on G Cloud, on the cloud handheld. I stream it, but like that's a workaround. You're thinking PlayStation's making their own handheld.
Mhm.
I mean,
You're thinking big,
you're
right?
thinking big. Maybe they're doing a little more energy in it and making it good. And that remote situation where it's just cut in half, I don't know how comfortable that's going to be, but that's bulky as hell.
I don't know because I haven't like actually held the system or whatever, but like it doesn't look practical. It doesn't look like something that I'm like, all right, let me hold it. It looks like something that if I drop it, the one pork chop on the side's gonna fall off because it does look like 2 pork chops
Yo,
on each end.
It is a pork chop.
You know, those
handheld.
bone-ins that are just sticking out. That's what it looked like to me. And it looks like it can literally split if you placed it somewhere and it falls the wrong way. So it looks a little fragile. It doesn't look like, you know, it does look slick. It just doesn't look heavy duty. Like, yo, look at this that I'm getting. What I was obsessed with was the case for the earpieces.
Oh, the little case for the earbuds?
Yeah, it was super freaking cute. It just slides to the side. It was very like contemporary, very techy. I did love that.
Yeah, they look pretty fire.
Right?
But I don't know. I mean, who's going to buy them? You know what I'm saying? Like Apple makes earbuds. Why would I ever buy those?
Buy a PlayStation.
Man, what do you think
Yeah.
about that handheld when you saw it?
I don't think it looks too offensive. It does look like a PlayStation controller split in half, but I'm sure it has its uses. It will probably be very functional. There are other options.
It's no function other than streaming. That's all
yeah,
it
now-
does.
functional as in it'll work. So
Is it streaming just the game that is like you left pause, or can you go into your
No, it's remote play. So you're going into your PlayStation and
and whatever
as if you,
you
were
have there
standing right in front of
digitally,
your.
you can go ahead and play.
It's literally as if you're sitting in front of your TV with your controller, controlling the screen. That's what you'll be doing on remote play. So you go to your dashboard, you can play only what's on your PlayStation. It's
Listen, it
literally
has
just a
its
PlayStation.
use, right? Because if, like, let's say you're going on vacation and you have the PlayStation that's your go-to system, this is an extension of that. Of obviously, you're not gonna. Well, I mean, you could, but you're not gonna pack up your PlayStation and go hook it up in a hotel room, right?
Mhm.
So again, you could do that, but most likely you're not gonna want. I wouldn't want to. So if what I want to do is travel around, or people with kids that are, they play the PlayStation, they're going on vacation here, take this, you can still play your games.
Only on Wi-Fi though.
On Wi-Fi.
So it's not like here you were in the car for a long ride.
Play it like you could with the Switch.
That's not going to happen. It's just when you're sitting in a hotel with the horrible Wi-Fi, it's probably not going to look great.
Now, this is my situation. It seems so ripped off from the Switch that it was crazy. And that's also another reason why I couldn't just fully appreciate it, because they had so many, like they had this Splatoon look-alike game over there, that foam blaster, but like it was such a knockoff and it looked so crappy.
Actually, a knockoff is kind of disrespectful because Splatoon was a million times better than ever.
That's why I added the tacky thing, because I agree with you, Madman, 1,000%. It is disrespectful to Nintendo. It is disrespectful to Splatoon. But I feel like they had a meeting and say, okay, let's figure out how we can make whatever Nintendo's got going on and see if we can squeeze some money out of that situation and make it work for us. So, like, if you're going to do that, like start working on some cartridges and like so that they can go like sell that version of your freaking games so that we can actually buy the game and be out and play it wherever we want, right?
The problem is not whether they want to do that. It's the power of the PlayStation. Obviously it can be done, but they have to make it that way.
Wi-Fi is tricky as a mother. So to get, like, whenever it wants to act out, whenever it doesn't want to pick up, whenever it doesn't want to register, you are doomed.
I mean, you have to have good Wi-Fi.
I know how, but you have no control when you're out what kind of Wi-Fi you're essentially getting, right? So that's a pain in the butt. For me, I get frustrated just when my phone doesn't want to get going, or it takes a little bit longer than what I expected to take. Like that really annoys me. So I would be super, like I will literally break the 2 pork chops off the sides if that thing starts acting out. So it's probably not something I should get my hands on, because I will be really frustrated.
So this is the thing, right? When we think about it, again, I feel like we are doing the same thing that we're talking about the PlayStation Showcase about. So like, yes, right now you can buy a Steam Deck, which you can basically hack it to work with the PlayStation Remote Play. You can also do the G Cloud, and there's an Android app that I use, PS Play, that allows you to do Remote Play from your PlayStation, right? There's also your phone. You can download the Remote Play app, and you can buy the little controllers that attach to it, and that allows you to Remote Play, right? So those are all things for people in the know, right? And everybody's like, well, why does this exist? Who the hell would want this, right? But again, PlayStation, they see that even though the bubble, they don't look at the bubble. They don't care about the bubble, right? They know that the hardcore people are going to buy the stuff that they make regardless. What they look at is the fact that handheld, when a random person, a casual person who doesn't play their games all the time and says, holy crap, I could play my game in the bed with this PlayStation handheld that's marketed as PlayStation. People are going to be like, oh shit, that makes sense.
Yes, first off, hi Paige, welcome. How are you, love?
Oh, hello.
We're so happy you're here.
Edits.
And so this is where that was going to be my next point. That's funny that you said that. But this is how I see it happening, though, where it would be really cool to have. It's kind of, you don't need to sit in front of the TV. So you can literally, like you said, let me go lay in bed while, someone else is using the TV, and boom, I'm playing my game.
Yep.
Let me be able to just put it down and walk away from it, come back to it. Like the accessibility of the Switch, that's what it is, right? You sit there, you take it off the dock, you're playing it. Like for me, 99.9% of the time that I'm playing the Switch, it's literally like that, because it's so easy going. You grab it, you're playing it, you put it down. It's like easy to pause.
Well, and for just to kind of piggyback off of that, I'm literally in the same boat with my PlayStation 5. 99.9% of the time, I'm playing Remote Play on the G Cloud. I'm playing handheld. I'm playing Wi-Fi, right? Like that's how I play it.
Do you think
So
you have a
this would
PlayStation
be
handheld?
good for you.
Oh yeah. Well, to be clear, I'm
gonna
get it.
I know that.
Are you
I know
gonna
that
get
for
it?
sure.
Well, that answers my question.
Yeah, for sure, I'm going to get it. But I'm talking about in the scheme of things, right? Like if we couldn't get it, right? Like if we had to pick one thing to get, like this wouldn't be the thing, right?
No,
because,
I agree 100%.
You know, like I'm already getting the ROG Ally, which I could technically put the thing on there and do it. But there's going to be something that's different when it's made for it, right? Where you just turn it on and it's like linked to your PlayStation 5. They're going to do something in the back end to make that stream connection more powerful or stronger to make it easier for it to function, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm looking for. And I like the idea of just being able to just grab your PlayStation 5 abomination and just play.
Yeah.
and just
Because
have a
why
good time.
not, right? Again, you leave your PlayStation on and you go about your business with your new, technology.
Yeah, you got your handheld and you just do it up.
And they're understanding how difficult it is to say, okay, it's like even like watching a movie, right? I always go, even if we have the movie, like I always go to the digital,
Yeah,
you
it's about
know,
convenience.
it's so much easier. And I can't say, like, it's so much commitment to like, go ahead, grab a freaking movie, open up the case, put the thing in, like, that means I'm going to sit there and I'm not going to switch it out. I'm just going to watch this movie. Whereas it could be an older movie. I see it, put it on, and it's like if I want to jump right out of it, go ahead, switch it to something else, go into another app, streaming service or whatever. And it's like nice and chill.
Yep.
So it takes away the let me go sit in front of my TV, PlayStation 5 on, let me go play. And this is what I'm going to be doing for now.
But let's say that you have bad Wi-Fi, or for whatever reason your internet goes out. There goes your movie. So I like when movies are physical and they have a digital code. You get
Yes.
both.
Agreed.
Yeah, but that's just because of the value for your money. You know, like if you're gonna get the digital code and it costs the same as just
getting
buying it digital,
full
but
blown.
if it's half the price for just digital versus digital and the box, then I'm
which
not
is
gonna do the box.
normally not, and you get both
Exactly.
versions anyways. You get
Yep.
to have the case, and like MADMAN said, if your Wi-Fi's out, no problem, because there's nothing worse. Wi-Fi is like the most frustrating thing in the world for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
when
listen,
it's gone,
this is the
silly.
reality of it. Like in the world that we live in today, internet is here. Like
It's power.
people
Yes.
have it. Wi-Fi is what most people have. The download speeds have gotten higher. Like the lowest download speeds are much higher now. So streaming is just a reality that we exist with. More people are watching Netflix than anything else, right? Like this is everybody has the capability
I love
of
Netflix.
doing the Wi-Fi thing. So and they honestly they've gotten the technology down really well. Like I play the PlayStation on the stream and I don't feel like I'm
missing out.
I'm not feeling like the controls are, bad. I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West on it and having a blast, like enjoying it, loving the game, and it's through there. It's not even on the big screen, and it just obviously it's based off your lifestyle. If you're somebody who has plenty of time to just sit in front of your TV and play games, then you don't need this, right? Like it's not, you're a single person or nobody's fighting you for your TV or you have your own TV or whatever it is. And you want to just go ahead and chat it up. I mean, and chat it up and boot it up and play your game on your big screen. Great. But for the people who don't, right, who don't have it, I mean, now you can go ahead and have something where you can step away and play on your little screen and have a blast because
Agreed.
the technology is there. So let's move on a little bit. Want to touch the big highlight of the show for me, which was Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater.
Man, that was unexpected.
Which it has been officially titled Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, not remakes Delta, which I was surprised. But yeah, it does look graphically, even if it wasn't gameplay, it looked extremely impressive, even for a cinematic.
Yeah, I mean, it was a surprise, but it wasn't like the game leaked, right? So like I knew Metal Gear or thought because 3 games leaked and only Metal Gear was here.
Yes.
So I hoped they would be here. It's just that the way the trailer was, it did not look like that, right? It didn't look like it was going to be a Metal Gear game. I thought it was going to be some type of animal hunter, like forest adventure game.
I'm glad it wasn't. It was so unique. Like it was such a cool take on it. I was not expecting to see him through, and you kind of can't see him well, and then he's so camouflage, and then it zooms into his face, and it's like like you freaking lost it, right? But the big thing is that you can't really trust when things leak, right? Because you could hope that it's true, but you never really know. So you don't let your heart or your mind sell into the idea that this is happening, or you don't want to, right? You try to fight it because, like, if it's not, then that's a pain. That's a disappointment. And it's annoying that they take things and they leak them like this because, if you don't get it, then that's a letdown, right? In your mind. But it was nothing that was like confirmed or said that it will happen or take place. You know what I mean? So,
it puts a pressure on it. But I mean, it wasn't like huge things like this. We didn't know the extent to what this was. That trailer for Metal Gear shows to me, or at least it alludes to the idea that they're going to be putting a lot of effort into the details. That's what that looked like for me. That's what I feel like they were trying to tell us.
Yes.
Like this is Solid Snake. Look at how he blends in, right? Like you're going to be sneaking in this jungle environment, right? And like the world is going to be dangerous is what that tells me, right? Like you got these alligators and these anacondas and like these creatures. So you might be thinking you're hiding in the water and some creature comes and grabs you. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to figure out how to fight that off and still survive. I mean, at the end of the day, I never played the original Snake Eater.
Okay.
I missed it. After Metal Gear Solid 2, I skipped that, went to Metal Gear Solid 4.
To be funky or?
No, it's because I was young and I didn't have the ability to get part 3. So that was for me, when I saw that was my excitement. I was like, oh shit, I get to play it like with today's technology. Because a lot of people said how different it was and how cool it was. So I'm really excited for that to come out. Plus they're doing, I mean, I'm not going to play them, but they're releasing, I guess, the trilogy.
Just remastered of the PlayStation 1 to 2.
Yeah, just remastered, but like basic remaster. Obviously nothing crazy. But I mean, what do you think when you saw it? How did you feel about the game?
It was super unexpected. It looks, so again, also it looks so much better when you rewatch the trailers because they are clean.
Yep.
Right? There's it's like when you go to the movie theaters to watch a movie and the screen is so big, right? That you don't get like those little details as clear as you would when you watch them at home and you have, your crisp TV, you watch it in 4K and it's like, that's what it's supposed to look like, right?
Absolutely.
Which I'm so excited to watch the Mario movie again. And
yes, we're waiting because
it's been
excited.
out.
Yeah, no, but it's only out digital. We bought the physical digital combo.
Well,
so
look at that.
So that's the thing. I feel like it's such a waste because it is going to come with the digital version. It's like, why the heck?
Yeah, why would we?
Like, just send me the freaking stuff.
Seriously.
Like get to it, get to work, start making these discs. They probably have them made. They're just messing with Doodle's mind.
Yeah, they want people to buy it digitally first.
Cool, Nintendo. All right.
Well,
I don't want to wait
they're the
anymore.
ones that are responsible for this.
I think they worked really, really tightly together and learned from each other on how to squeeze the most money out of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart, but I mean, they're not that smart because we're not going to do it. We already bought it. Technically, we didn't buy 2 of them.
Yes, we got the exclusive to Best Buy and Walmart exclusive.
Star.
Yeah. So
but we missed the Star 4K.
The Star was not available in 4K
and
when
then it became available in 4K,
it became
and it was
for like
gone
2
so fast,
seconds. Bro. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I wish they put more effort into the Steelbook. It's a mushroom. But like that just disappointing me because I love the artwork for the average case, but they could have done something even cooler with the Steelbook and a mushroom.
Well, I thought it looked good, man. It's so clean.
I feel like it just, I don't know. To me, it looks basic, and knowing that they'll buy the better version, they put less effort into how it looks, and then they'll buy it anyway. It's the exclusive version. But I appreciate you like it, But I just don't find it that great. And the star is nice, but it's not that functional. Like, it's a cool display item, but that means I'd have to take it out, take it down, open it again, and the discs are stacked into a foam little suction thing, and that looks like, those discs are bound to be damaged. So, I don't know. But, yeah, I'm glad that you guys really like them. That's cool.
Well, so back to that. First, real quick. Hi, Shintaro. Good morning. How are you, love? Hacker, welcome. Good morning. How are you? How's the camping going? I hope you're having fun. So, going back to Snake, right, in the game, I was super shocked again, but like it was a nice surprise, to say the least, because unlike C Money, I didn't hear the rumors that could potentially be there.
Me neither.
So for me, it was like, what? Like, you heard me scream. Well, no one heard me scream because my mic wasn't on, you guys. What was that all about? Right?
Wow.
Thought everybody could hear me. That wasn't cool. Anyways, but I freaking lost it when I saw him because I wasn't expecting that. I was actually like grossed out with the freaking insects
I
and
know
everything.
it's a Bugs Life, the video game.
Yeah, you did say that. You did shout, "It's a Bug's Life." Which would be like super gross, you guys, to like have a really realistic Bugs Life game. What was the game that we played when we met our beautiful Paige? Grounded. We were playing Grounded when Paige came in to watch the stream.
Wow.
But that one, I thought it was like, damn, these bugs are a little too realistic. So from what we saw from that Snake game, like if that was a freaking bug game, that would be kind of gross for me, in my opinion. Were you shocked, Madman, when you...
I did not expect Solid Snake of all characters. It was a shock, that's for sure, to say the least.
For me, the most I've seen of Snake has been Smash. And he plays
Brawl,
really well.
And he came back in Ultimate. I am, like, anytime a Metal Gear Solid comes out, it's massively critically acclaimed. I don't remember, but I know that when the first game came out, such a big deal because whenever he breathed, you could see it was cold and he would breathe out like actual like cold air.
Yeah, like like the smoke from
shit.
it was such a huge deal. It was so exciting. I remember Madman, by the way, like the excitement from that moment. Like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen. Me and C Money, you weren't born yet, but.
Wow.
Yes, we were super excited about like seeing the game because it was the first time that they were going to do something like that, and it was so cool. And I remember like C Money playing the game and look like, oh look, check it out, the smoke is gonna come out of his mouth. It was such a big deal, and then to think of where we are now, remastering these games and like the graphically what we can see and what they can do. And still, I want more. Like, I want that Starfield feeling next gen type of situation, you know? Like,
absolutely.
I'm not satisfied yet with where we are, considering what they can do. So, like, focus and give us better, give us more.
Absolutely, absolutely. And listen, this is just like, okay, so kind of, you were talking about the graphics, right?
Yes.
And like, when I look at that trailer for the Snake Eater that we got, I really feel like we should be there, bro. Like the way that looked when he was under there and it got close to him, that's what we should be seeing in the game, real time. Like that's the level that we should be at. These systems are literally 5 times more powerful. And in Xbox's case, 6 times more powerful than the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Like the original ones.
Wow.
Okay. So obviously they came out with like the Xbox One X that was 6 T-flops and then the PlayStation 4 Pro, which was 4, right? So compared to those, the Series X is twice as powerful as the One X and the PlayStation 4 is, 2.5 times as powerful as the other one. Okay, as the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Dang.
But those were not what the games were made for. You know what I'm saying? They were made for the originals, and then the other ones just bumped up the graphics. You know what I'm saying? So like the game was made for the Xbox One, but the One X just looked better because of the extra power. But they still had to make it for that one. So if you figure, we're in a situation where when you look at how powerful these systems are now, there's absolutely no way that the games shouldn't look leagues better. Now, Unreal Engine 5 looks like it's going to give us that type of leap, right? Like the best companies who are making games are going to take things to the next level using Unreal Engine 5. And that's the part that gets me excited because, see, PlayStation 5 or PlayStation in general, they don't really use Unreal Engine. Like they have a lot of their own proprietary engines. So they're not using Unreal because I guess they don't want to pay, right, the license. Whereas Xbox, almost all of their studios are making Unreal Engine 5 games.
I get that.
So graphically speaking, that's where I'm looking for the big boost. Like I am looking for these next games that we see at the Xbox showcase and beyond to really, really like
knock your socks off.
Yeah, knock my socks off. I want to be taken back. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be saying, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing." You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I want to feel. I want to say like, "Holy shit, that's next gen."
Because I feel the same way. Like where is the technology is there? Where is the team? Where are the people putting this together to maximize what we can do and what we can work with, right? Give it to me. I want it now. And I want the way it plays to be completely smooth. I don't want any freaking hiccups. I don't want any delays. I want the 60 frames per second. And I want the fantastic, phenomenal graphics. And if it's an open world, I don't want to see any loading or the trees catching up. I want it smooth.
Yep.
That's it.
I can tell you right now how crazy it is and how much of an impact just the technology has when you play a game that's well made. Because right now, playing Zelda, right? Tears of the Kingdom, phenomenal game, right? Phenomenal game. But when you go into the shrines, right? You find a shrine, this portal opens up like it's a doorway into the shrine. And then you walk into it and it looks like you're about to just transfer into the shrine, right? And like the world is just going to open right up. But you walk in a few feet and then boom, loading screen. And you have to wait for it to load the shrine. Right. Now, if that game was on the Series X or the PlayStation 5, that shrine would just be there, right? I would open up that gate, walk right in, and just whoosh, I'm there. I feel it. There's no difference between the two places. But the way it is, it always takes me out every single time. I'm like, oh man, I found this dope ass shrine. Let's go. Get in, then you got to wait. It's like, fuck, man. Like, I just want to get in. Let me in, right? So, like, that's what needs to happen. The technology needs to be pushed, and damn it, Nintendo, give us a Switch too. All right. So, another game that I want to talk about, mostly because my excitement for this is based on the fact that Bungie is making it, and what it looks like is it's going to be a focused arena shooter.
Marathon? Which
is Marathon. It's coming out on PlayStation and Xbox. Bungie made the original Halos, and Destiny, and their shooting game is just on point, right? Like their shooting is phenomenal. On Destiny, you feel it is so good. And so like doing a arena shooter, I think it's gonna be dope. I hate the fact though that they showed us this stupid ass CGI trailer because this game has been in production for a very long time. Like they've been making this game for years. Like they should 100% be able to show us some gameplay. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Good morning, Shintaro. Good morning, Hacker. Good morning, Paige. How you guys doing?
I mean, it's a remake of it's not their first game on the Mac and shit like that.
Yep.
So,
well, it's not a remake. They're not remaking the game, but they're just using the name for this purpose of using an arena shooter. So instead of starting a brand new game that has no cachet with a name that nobody cares about, they're using Marathon to kind of at least say, hey, there's some legacy to this. and they'll probably use, characters or themes and stuff from there in the shooting. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be a brand new experience. So, anything when you saw that marathon, Doodle?
Not necessarily.
Okay. I mean, there's not a lot to it. It's just a matter of the CGI trailer. It's just something that for me personally, because of Bungie and they made Halo, it just kind of feels good. Man, what about you? Anything when you think of when you saw that marathon trailer?
I mean, it looked colorful, it looked cool, but again, it's not gameplay, so it's probably not going to look as good. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It looks interesting. I'm sure the next gameplay trailer or their first gameplay trailer will be cool. But, as it is right now, it was cool to know it's existing and not much more than that.
All right. So they had a few games from their new first party studios. So like they had the game Fair Games, which is from Haven.
Another heist game.
Yeah, it's a heist game. That's going to be from Haven. Is their new studio that's founded by Jade Raymond. They bought that studio. I mean, again, these games have been in the works for a few years, right? Like, show me gameplay.
Yes,
I
want to
something.
see.
Even a damn screenshot of how the game's going to look.
Have some respect is the words you're looking for.
Yeah,
all right.
Like, I want to see
That's what we're looking
it.
for. So I'm super freaking pumped for the Xbox showcase. It's coming. It's coming because I feel like they're going to give us what we need to see.
I hope so.
See, do not change words, okay? Do not change your verbiage. We talked about this, okay? And you gassed me up. I was like, listen, now after seeing this mess that happened with the PlayStation, in my opinion, I don't know what to expect from Xbox. And you reinforce the fact that it won't just be Starfield, as, PlayStation showed just a Spider-Man game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to not try to sidestep me.
No, they're gonna show.
Right?
They're gonna show.
Okay, there we go.
Show.
All right, that's a little more. That's a little more secure.
Listen,
that's a more secure.
I had
tone.
a lot of feelings before the PlayStation showcase, and we got let down. But the fact that they took Starfield and put it in its own showcase right after, right? So the showcase is gonna end, then you're gonna turn into the Starfield showcase. That leads me to believe that, that obviously Starfield is going to have tons of gameplay, but if they're going to be focusing on their other studios,
dude. And I know you're going to be trying to cover up your eyes and your ears because you don't want to see or hear anything because you can't. Like Starfield is a set thing for you. Shintaro, it's over here saying, see money for real. At least 2 minutes of gameplay will do. Shintaro, I was to the point where I was like, just write down names and put them on the screen. I'll be happy. I'll take that. Don't show me pictures. Just write some names out and I'll be happy. It was that desperate, the need to feel like, they were doing something else.
For the PlayStation showcase?
Yeah.
It's just, they just needed to show us PlayStation 5 exclusive first party studio games and they let us down in that respect. But again, I do see that, for the casuals, that's not too much of a big deal.
There we go. Thank you, Shintaro. Doodle, you don't have to worry about the Xbox showcase. Is going to be a great showcase. Fire.
Yeah, it is.
There we go. See, that's the words I'm looking for,
words.
all right?
That's the way. That's the way. But yeah, all right. So just kind of running through some of these here that were the highlights. Actually, Helldivers 2, again, we saw it in the blurry mess of the stream that it was given to us, and it just looked very bland and crappy. But when you watch it back, it does look pretty good.
Yeah, it
does.
Helldivers
2. So
I remember that.
I am excited to kind of see how that turns out. And then they showed us Alan Wake 2.
Oh, that one.
Oh my gosh,
really good,
that was crazy.
That was amazing.
You were obsessed with the Alan Wake games.
I love Alan Wake.
It
I love
was
Alan Wake.
It was the first one.
Well, actually, no. American Nightmare.
I thought there was more.
Was that like an actual game?
Absolutely, it was a game.
It was like a DLC.
Yeah, but it was its own. It was a standalone DLC. American Nightmare. It was great. So
was it even canon?
Yes, it's Alan Wake.
By By the way, wasn't it like Secret Window style? Remember that movie with Johnny Depp?
Oh yeah, it was a mindfuck.
Yeah.
It was a mindfuck. That was a great movie, by the way. Look at that throwback. Secret Window with Johnny Depp. We should watch that.
We should watch it.
It's been like forever.
It has. I feel like we watched it at one time and our minds were blown and we were like, yo.
Yeah, I think enough time has passed that we would be surprised again. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So Alan Wake 2, that actually drops on October 17th.
Earlier than some expected.
I really didn't think it was going to be done so fast, but it's ready to go. October is going to be crazy because October is going to have some games that I need to play.
And it's like the perfect time, like going right into the holidays, right? And you sit there, cozy.
Halloween.
You want to freaking
Alan Wake and Halloween. How do you beat that,
be
bro?
A horror game, so
that's going to be good.
The question is Doodle? Well, it's not the first horror game in the series. The ones before it were scary. They were horror-like. It's just that they're focusing more on. Well, the whole game was scary. That was the whole point of the game. Soup to nuts, it was a scary game. Alan Wake had scary shit the whole time. But the new one, they're just going to go darker. I think they're going to go darker. They're going to dig deeper into it.
As they should. They need to do more. Like, if they're coming back with a new game, we need next level.
And this is the thing. You know, you're talking about Quantum. Not Quantum Break. Quantum Break was a great game.
A lot of people who made Alan Wake, right?
Yeah, Remedy. They made
the first two Max Paynes as well.
Yep, and Control. Yeah, so this is the thing. From when they made Alan Wake, right? That was a great time for them. They did a great job. But since then, they have really upped their graphics, like hardcore. Quantum Break, I feel like I want you to play that.
It was such a big deal when it came out.
Remember we played it? Yes. Well, I mean, I played it and you watched me play it.
Yes, and it was...
And all the cutscenes.
The whole gimmick was that it was a game and a show or something like that. You get it. Yeah,
it was amazing. The episodes were amazing. They were seamless into the show.
From Smallville that played the main guy.
Yes, he did.
That's what I was so into. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Jimmy, the reporter.
Yeah, he did so good.
He did well.
The show was just fantastic. And the game was fantastic. Quantum Break doesn't get the freaking... It doesn't get what it's deserved. The respect it needs to have is
100%.
Just ridiculously low. Like they need to give it some respect because the game was dope. The gameplay was dope. Everything was dope. Graphics were amazing. So they've really pushed it further and further. Right? They should make a Quantum Break too. To be honest with you, that would be super dope.
Did the ending leave room for a sequel?
Of course. It's just that they didn't make one. And then you have Control that they made, which was amazing and stunning. So like now, this is like you're getting a really evolved Remedy, you know, where they've taken their stuff to the next level. And you saw the graphics on this thing. It looks amazing. And I think it's going to be, I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe on Jeff Keighley's show, the Summer Games Fest on June 8th. If I'm not mistaken, they're going to have the gameplay for Alan Wake 2.
Okay, so this is coming before the showcase for Xbox.
Yes. So
all right, juicy juice.
So the weekend, so the Sunday is Xbox, and then I believe it's the Thursday.
Right before. Yeah,
the Thursday before is the Summer Games Fest.
I don't think I've said this enough. I'm so freaking excited for summer. Like this is. I'm hyped.
Yeah, it's gonna be super dope. There's so much stuff coming out. It's really, really exciting. So Alan Wake 2 again, October 17th. That's going to be a banger. And then they sold us Assassin's Creed Mirage, which looked amazing. Took us back to like the original Assassin's Creed, where more stealth based, but also blending in the new action base. I mean, you could always fight back then, which was cool, but I think it was more like it wasn't as free form as they are now. And I think they're blending the two. So you could either go and be stealthy and sneaky.
Be wild, guys.
Or be loose like Doodle will be.
Wild.
She does.
All right. I was asking Madman because I couldn't remember the Assassin's Creed game that I was like totally obsessed. Origins. I feel like I should do a gameplay of that. And that'll be so fun.
Origins was so epic.
It was so freaking good. You guys have to see it. Guys, you know how much Doodle loves the water. I got jumped into the water, swam around. It's such a
And the
good
water can kill you
game.
because of the,
exactly.
remember there was like hippos?
Yep.
Killer hippos?
Yeah, it was crazy. And C will be freaking out because you guys know how he gets during gameplay. And he's like, Doodle, calm down. You have to be stealth. And I'm like, everybody gonna die. And I'll just bust in and freaking handle my ish. And you were dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you murdered a lot of people. A lot of people went night-night when Doodle showed up. So, yes. But
unnecessary, but fun.
So we'll see when October 12th comes around. That's when the new Assassin's Creed is coming out. How Doodle handles it. Is she going to be stealthy? Or is she going to kill everybody?
That's a real question.
I think she's going to kill everybody. But we'll pretend we don't know the answer to that quite yet.
Winky face.
They also showed Final Fantasy 16 again. And this was the launch trailer. And I didn't really want to see it anymore because I'm sold on this game. It comes out in June, dude.
Which, as a reminder, right, to be fair, C-Money was trashing the game.
Hey,
and I was like,
I already met the knee.
Hey, I think it looks really good. A lot of elements from this game are nice and crisp and they're interesting. And you were like, no, you threw a Jim Ryan tantrum while we were watching that the first time.
The gameplay is very similar to The Witcher, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks more action oriented, which is why I'm excited for it, right? Because as much as I love RPGs, but I love Western RPGs. I have accepted in my life that I am not a JRPG player. I cannot select, press buttons and say, do this move. I want to just fight.
Yes.
I'm like you.
Yeah, I know.
But you not in stealth games. You know what I'm saying? Like
you freak out so hard when I go rogue. Let's call it rogue, all right? When I do that, you freak out.
Well, you have exceptions like Halo Wars or Mario plus Rabbids, that sort of thing. Like those were those kind of games, tactical.
Yeah, no. JRPGs are just a different breed. I'm okay with tactical. Well, not everyone. Actually, most of them I don't.
Do you want to play Fire Emblem?
No,
exactly.
So that's why you just mentioned it though. It was like Halo, right? Halo, I'm just gonna play regardless of what it is.
No matter what kind of crap
no matter
they
what
throw
kind
at
of
you.
game it is, I'm gonna play it. If they make a JRPG, I'll be playing the hell out of JRPG Halo for sure. I would beat that shit so badly. And then the other one you said was Mario plus Rabbids, which was really good.
Mario was in there. How can you not, right? So Master Chief,
Sparks of Hope. We should maybe stream that.
You did? Oh, shit.
Nice.
Cool.
I never played the first one, so I will take your word and
you can play the second one.
Figure it out. Is it like?
Oh, but this is not an action game.
Kick ass. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Doodle's gonna be like, press the button.
Like,
I can't attack anybody. Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a good game.
But I'll be flipping out. Like, how do I get to them though? How are we gonna fight?
Yeah, I heard it reviewed way better, but it sold like ass. Maybe because they ignored Yoshi's existence. Well, he never happened.
Those are a bold choice of words. Those are words.
True.
Well,
don't expect part 3.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the fact that we even got them is dope.
I mean, I would have rather it be one and then do new crossovers because I feel like Mario Bros. Rabbids isn't like a franchise. It's just like this is this wacky thing we did, and that's kind of where it should have ended.
I mean, listen, every game deserves if you make a good first game, every game deserves a sequel. And if it turns out great, then you make another one. If it doesn't, then you move on.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was wild to see. I thought it was going to be a loose game, like go and wreck it. I mean, come on. But, the figurines look crazy and
you know what's
wild,
funny? How did have somebody not made a Wreck-It Ralph game?
They did.
Yes, they should make it, but not with Wreck-It Ralph because, I feel like they can make a better character.
How the hell is it going to make a Wreck-It Ralph game and not use Wreck-It Ralph?
Listen, join my land come into my mind, okay?
That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a Hulk.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There we go. Somebody who makes you feel like it's going down.
Well, 2 things. One, there was a Wreck-It Ralph game. And number 2, Hulk, there are Hulk games that give you that feeling of destruction and stuff like that.
I just feel like these superhero games that they go ahead and take. That's why I was so excited to watch the little clip they showed from Wolverine, and it was like unexpected for me.
I really thought you were going to say The Little Mermaid for a second.
Ew, the little Wolverine.
I just when you said the little, and I was like, mermaid?
Clip.
Yeah, no, but that little gap of time
gave you
filled
that
my head
much
with
thought.
mermaid.
Gave you that much thought.
That's what happened.
Okay.
I hear little, I think mermaid. Little mermaid.
Got it.
You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Well, that little clip that they showed us of Wolverine had me losing my mind because I feel like they don't give us, aside from like, obviously they put some thought into the Batman games, but like I feel like they don't give us high quality superhero games. Obviously Spider-Man's, and that's where it dies. Like I want a really good Superman game. The fact that they're making Wolverine like this makes me feel like there's hope for the rest.
They're also making an Iron Man game.
They are?
EA is making one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the question is, how is
EA,
that?
though.
It's going to look good?
I mean, I think so, because if you remember, EA made Anthem.
They're trying to like sell you shit every 2 seconds.
Had amazing flying in it where you were in a suit. Everybody was like, dude, this should just be a fucking Iron Man game, and it'll be crazy.
Listen, just don't half-ass it. It's summertime. We want full-blown, we want to be mooned.
Well, it's not going to be during the summer.
The problem is
that anytime soon.
Well, they're working on it now.
They're working on it.
EA is, you might as well call them microtransactions the company.
No, that's an old, uninformed way of thinking. They don't do that anymore. They have some games that are, some games that are not. Like they're making Immortals, the Avion game that looks so dope. That's not a microtransaction game. That's a dope ass game.
Or so we think.
So it's just that's before they tried to do the bandwagon thing and do all these hardcore microtransactions, but
and
ever
the van
since
was empty.
Like
ever since Star Wars Battlefront 2, they stopped.
It's
they
like how Square Enix
it.
won't stop trying to make live service games. Like shut the
Yeah, EA has stopped it. They've already taken their beat downs and they moving on. You know, they're doing better and they're making cooler shit, and that's what matters. I actually got into it. I'm looking at the
gameplay.
The gameplay for
I think
Spider-Man right now.
looks like fun. Like
Yeah, it looks fun.
It's
but
not
it's
a graphical powerhouse, but I could imagine Symbiote Spider-Man being a blast.
Yeah, so listen, fun is fun. That's great, right? There's games that look trash that are fun, right?
Okay.
And that's awesome, right? But those are not games made by, these billion-dollar titans, first-party platforms, right? If you're Sony, if this is your PlayStation 5, I don't give a fuck what you got to do. Make that shit look amazing.
We don't want let's use, obviously Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were made for the same, like they were on the same platform, right?
Yep.
So we knew, and they still gave us so much more. But I was like, after seeing and playing, because we did the gameplay for the Spider-Man game, like Miles, yes. Like I want a lot more than this. Like, I don't know, for me, in my opinion, I want to be like blown away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just noticed this.
Like that.
Back in 2018, Marvel Spider-Man came out, but what also came out was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Skip forward to 2023, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is coming out, and it's coming out in a week, Marvel Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
It's almost like they planned it that way. Maybe. But that's the thing. It's like, it looks fine, but it doesn't look much better than the PlayStation 4 version. So I got into it, excuse me, with somebody on Twitter.
You got into it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Nice. You should have told me.
And he ended up, he's like some type of PR guy for like Ubisoft or some company. Excuse me. But he tried to sell me on the fact that that it's hard to, use the power of the systems when you have all these different gameplay and, different things that they're doing with it and the fast moving throughout the
How is that a problem?
Like, I don't give a shit. Like, fucking do it.
Make it happen.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not my problem.
I'm not here to nurture you and hold you through it. Deliver. I'm paying the money for the game. I want top-notch, best freaking stuff, not you mooching off the last one because it's too hard to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I want the shit to look amazing. Don't make it as fast. You're saying that the high speed through the city that takes up more processing power, whatever it is, then fucking slow it down so that we can just swing normally like we did in the PlayStation 4. But it looks a million times better.
Yes.
Like that is what I want.
It's gotta be a balance. Like, we can't have gorgeous tech demos that are bare bones in their gameplay but look stunning.
But we could.
But nobody asked for that.
I want
look
gorgeousness.
At Rise for Xbox.
Rise was amazing. That was not a
problem.
problem. People were hating because it was an Xbox exclusive. The game was phenomenal. The story was amazing. The graphics hold up to today. You put that shit on today, it can look like a brand new game that's out there.
Ayo, really?
It looks amazing. Gameplay, fun, visceral, brutal. It was amazing. But they gave it shit grades because why? It was a launch title. And what was happening in Xbox launch? Oh, the whole DRM, everything. They had to walk everything back. The family plan had to get taken away. The Connect, everybody was hating. Excuse me. It was just a shit show.
Mhm.
People were hating and weren't giving it respect. And it tanked all the first games that came out for Xbox. They're all gone because of what happened. Because of the launch of Xbox, the games that came out that were freaking fire all disappeared. You know what I'm saying? So it's so stupid, but that was a phenomenal looking game. And I wish they would make a part 2 because it was that good. It was so good. I can only imagine what they can do with today's tech because they actually give a shit about making a good looking game. That's also fun as hell to play.
What other games have the studio made behind Rise?
Crytek. They made Crysis.
Oh, I heard of Crytek. Yeah.
Well, Crytek is the company, and Crysis is the game. That's the
They made
biggest.
like 3 of them.
Yeah, that was the biggest graphical powerhouse forever. Like it used when PC people made their systems, like when they build their computers, the whole first question is, can it run Crysis? Because Crysis was that powerful. Like it was such a beast of a game. But yeah. So I don't know. I see this and I'm like, it looks good. It looks fine. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Spider-Man's gonna be great. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna enjoy it.
When we're in a position where we're trying to excuse and understand the obstacles, like we can excuse anything when it comes to graphics or the way they make a game or the way that they try to overcharge us with different crap, right? But it is up to us to speak up. So it's nonsense to sit there and try to say, as if you're the one who sat there and made the game, oh, well, the swinging and the graphics catching up. It's like, no, dude, shut the hell up.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this honestly, what speed am I seeing that looks so different?
Right?
It looks the same speed as
He's
any other
literally
fucking Spider-Man game.
gliding, like Master Chief fell out the same freaking way from the from his whatever the heck. You know which the scene I'm talking about. And it's like, come on, man. It could happen. Look at this. Look at this. All right. We can say the same thing about racing cars, right? And we're looking at Forza and we're looking at that background, how freaking gorgeous it is. How fast are those cars freaking moving and how fast do those frames have to change to keep up with the movement of the car?
Absolutely.
I don't see a problem with that. They're not sitting here crying, right? So stop the bitching around.
No, it's just, listen, this PlayStation shit, they hold them to a different standard. Like it doesn't have to be, I don't know. They don't have to push as hard. Where Xbox is out here stressing, they're like, "Yo, we got to make the best thing ever for anybody just to even look at us."
That's a freaking annoyance for me. Like, why are we then? Why were there no type of understandings with freaking Redfall not being the freaking 60 frames or all this bullshit that came up? Right? Where are the excuses? Let's understand the team. Why don't we say, well, Redfall was being made and it was being made for the PlayStation as well, and then they had to reconfigure the entire thing because they were bought by Xbox. We can find excuses for everything, right? But no, when we see the game and it's not up to par, we are up in arms. So let's be up in arms about everything. This all needs to be equal.
You got to keep the hate consistent.
Exactly. Like either pick a lane, all right? And this is also, it applies to everything, guys. Like this is crazy. We do the same thing or people do the same thing with, you can apply it. Xbox right now, it's on the, like, it's the one that gets all the crap. We're talking about, like, people in general, according to, like, who you are or what you look like. They do the same freaking thing. It's, like, crazy. The world needs to
judging?
Evolve. The judging needs to be equal, guys. We need the same standards. And I'm just saying it because then there's a bigger message here. We're not talking just about Xbox and PlayStation. We're talking about people in general, how nasty people can be and how judgy people can be. And sometimes it's just based on freaking looks or whatever, or race or whatever. Like, cut the crap, evolve, or
Xbox
who you
games
like.
matter.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I mean, we shouldn't judge people.
We shouldn't judge people.
We judge games.
But
We
yes,
judge games.
But
We should judge games.
People do depending on who you are or how you what you look like. They put judgment on you. Nobody should be judged. People should be treated equally. Just like, if we're gonna judge, obviously we're criticizing the games and whatever. We should be criticizing equally.
Remember, everyone, Xbox games matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. Listen, it's fine.
Thank you, Madman.
The fact that they do that to Xbox is one thing, and the PlayStation stuff is just, listen, again, this is a fine looking game. It's fine. It's just not what I would look at as next gen. If I take that screen right there and put it to the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game that came out and put it right next to it, it's not going to be that big of a difference.
Guess what? You're entitled to your opinion. And the fact that obviously whoever you were talking to saw the same thing you saw, because obviously they were excusing it, which means that they saw the same level and the same problems that you did. They found a loop around about it.
That's
right?
a funny thing. They confirmed what I was saying.
Exactly. So let's face it. That right there would have been the end of that argument. You should have said, okay, so got it. Thank you. You saw what I saw. You're just excusing it.
Yeah.
So this is the worst showcase in the world.
That's why you gotta come to me with some things. See, I would shut that down real fast.
It was fine all around, I guess. Like, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. There were a few things that were cool, but, overall, it just didn't hold up as a PlayStation showcase to showcase truly what makes a PS5 special and different from the Xbox Series X and S.
For the hardcore people. For the casuals, they walked away thinking that it was amazing.
Slice of bread.
So the question is, are those casuals going to feel the same way when Xbox shows them all their shit?
Oh, they're going to be like, oh, this is garbage. Starfield, blah. Like, geez. I feel like that Xbox doesn't get treated fairly. It's a little uncool.
That's all right. All right. So that was our PlayStation showcase kind of discussion or rant. Did you have anything to add to that, Doodle or Madman?
No.
No, I feel like I'm in the same space. I look at the name of the stuff, and as a whole, as you stated before, if I was looking at this and thinking, this is just a showcase of games that are coming to PlayStation, but a PlayStation showcase is all wording, right? You're calling it that, then I'm expecting to see some real juicy PlayStation stuff. And that's that.
I agree 100%.
Thank you, Shintaro. Shintaro liked the stream. Guys, Shintaro is doing a great thing. Join him.
Absolutely. Be a friend. Hit the like button.
Hit that like button.
Yes, it's always good to like.
Thank you, Shintaro. I appreciate that.
Leave me a like. It's very important.
So now we're going to go on to another piece of exciting news.
Yes.
So it looks like, obviously, we've been going back and forth with this Activision Blizzard Xbox merger,
and things might be looking to have a proper conclusion.
So it's obviously we're still not quite there yet, but there was a date that they needed to pass, to be able to actually go ahead and close. So as of the 22nd of May, they can close the deal.
Ooh.
So right now, it's just a matter of when they're going to do it and what they're doing. And I think,
like if they're going to keep going with the CMA and all the other stuff.
So they already did the appeal.
But they're pretty much in a spot where they can close it and be done.
Yeah, they can close right now.
Damn.
If they wanted to.
It's ours.
Woo! So let's do a happy dance for that, you guys. Let's go. Stand up.
Absolutely.
Wow. Nice little dance for Xbox.
So there was the one thing that was holding them up, okay, excuse me, was that there was this lawsuit that was happening by the gamers. Remember we talked about it once, the gamers lawsuit, and it was a essentially like a bunch of gamers, PlayStation fans coming out there and trying to do a lawsuit, which was ridiculous. So that was finally thrown out of
existence.
Yeah, the judge just kind of shut it down. I'm just trying to get over to our channel because that thing finished. So let me put on just some gameplay of something we did. So we'll put on Minecraft that happened yesterday. That's a fun time.
Okay, cool. It's a relaxing game to watch, that's for sure.
Guys, Casey's in the house.
What's up, Casey?
Welcome, love.
So basically that case, that lawsuit that was brought up against Microsoft was thrown out. The judge stopped it and threw it away, and it was denied on the 19th. So they basically had given Microsoft a kind of telling them, listen, you can't do anything until we figure out this lawsuit thing. And they gave them to the date of the 22nd. So it's done.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how we all, and everyone's different, but like the brain capacity. Listen, guys, do not go ahead and use your money to start a lawsuit against trillion dollar companies. Yeah, come on, guys. Like, process that, think about it, and be like, maybe that's not the way to go. Because it's not, okay? You don't go ahead and use your personal money or any type of freaking money to go ahead and do this. This is ludicrous. And I can't comprehend the fact that, like, people thought this was a thing to do.
Yeah, it was really a stupid thing.
This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard.
Like, it makes no sense that
Honestly,
even took place or that it happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you even, I don't know. Who in their right mind does that? Nobody knows. But at the end of the day, people did it. And now it's done. So it's officially over. And Xbox is free to do it. Now, obviously, they still have some time, right? So there's this date, I believe it's like July, 17th or something like that. So in July, if they don't close the deal by then, they basically have to renegotiate everything with Activision, do a new contract, do a new everything, and start the process over, right? So that's why
I feel like they're going to close it before. The question is, will the CMA drag it knowing this information, right? Will they say, okay, if we just drag it out until then, they're not going to want to reset all that stuff? So this is the thing. There was an interview with Satya Nadella. So he's the head of Microsoft. He runs the whole thing, right? So they asked him on that interview whether or not he would be willing to move forward without the UK's blessing. Okay. Give me the juice.
He smiled and said, let's wait to see what happens.
I like you.
So
what
he didn't say
that cockiness.
What he didn't say was, well, if the CMA doesn't play fair with us, then we're going to have to back out of the case, back out of the acquisition. They didn't say that, right? And he did it with the smirk, and he knew exactly what he was saying. Listen, I'm sorry, CMA government, but you barely have more money than Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a whole.
As a whole, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if that, right? So, like, you're trying to prove a point that you don't want to prove. And the government in the UK is in the same, like, they're feeling the same thing. Like, remember, CMA is like their own entity in the government, like in UK. So they are essentially making this decision on their own, right? But the UK government is questioning everything that they're doing. So it looks like Microsoft is probably talking to them, like those behind closed doors conversations. Like, listen, do you really want us to do this? Like, do you really want us to just take everything out? Because if we take out Windows, if we take out all that shit that you guys use, you guys are screwed. Like, dude, we're $1 trillion company. How many billions you add to our number? Guess what? We're going to make that up with Activision.
Listen, sometimes you just got to put them in a headlock and,
dude.
Bend that arm.
Dude, you're not going to go. This is not like we talked about before. These guys are not holding out the cure for cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a thing where people are, going to have life or death situations over this. We're talking video games, right? So we're talking video games. These people want to purchase a video game. They want to make it more available to more people, and they want to use it to help build out their network as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Agreed.
Man, do you think there's something wrong with Microsoft trying to close this deal?
Of course not. Like, we've been over this so many times. It's like, it's not like anyone's dying from this. It's not going to have a global impact. All it is that PlayStation players may not get the exact same experience otherwise, even though they have all the first parties and all the good shit. And maybe Microsoft deserves a little something that's their own. I don't know.
Well, PlayStation players are going to get the identical game for as long as they have it there. But you got to remember, man, the EU, they confirmed that they don't have any requirements outside of the cloud gaming situation, right? Where they need to put their games on any, cloud service where if you purchase the game, you have access to the cloud license, right? Like that's the only thing they have to do. They even said that if they take out PlayStation, Call of Duty from PlayStation, then it is what it is. PlayStation will survive, right? So the fact that the CMA is still tied up in this nonsense is, frankly, ridiculous. Doodle, what do you think?
100%. I agree. The
CMA trying to make a big deal out of this is just ridiculous, right? We can agree at this point that that's what it is.
It's okay, but this is the thing. It's frustrating, and that's why I'm to the point where I say things like, okay, so like bend that arm, like go ahead, do what you got to do. The CMA abused their power. They linger the crap out of this whole situation. So now I think that Microsoft should do the same. Now that they have everything else aligned and kind of on lockdown, abuse your power, get it done, have it your way. Because the thing that I felt, in this is the situation. I felt like at this point, be like, all right, you guys are missing out. But you brought up such a great point. You let them win that. And then what's next?
Yep.
And I agree with that 1,000%. It is a annoyance, but now I feel like they're in a position of power where they feel like they can literally close the deal. So
Absolutely.
Go ahead, use your power and take things away that they need from you and see where that goes. Let's see if they keep going with their nonsense. Because it is nonsense. Come on. At the end of the day, I know it, you know it. And I know it, and I know you know it, and everybody knows
everybody
it.
Knows
it's a load
everybody
of crap.
knows.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So remember, CMA, we were kind of talking about it. I think one of the times we were talking about this, we were talking about it so many times, that they had a meeting with the FTC, remember, like a week before their ruling, and people were saying, oh, the FTC is trying to get them to, team up and block the deal. And they're coming out and they're denying it. Obviously, that's what they're doing now. They're saying that they were not doing the bidding of other agencies. So remember, Bobby Kotick was like, the FTC is using them to do their bidding. So they came out, they said they're not doing that. They also confirmed that they did talk about it. Like there was a whole big discussions that they did in the courts. They were asking them, like the government was asking the head of the CMA,
yes,
talk about those meetings, what happened at those meetings, why, and they said that we're not going to talk about it like this, but we can talk privately about it, right? So it's like they know what they did. They know what they did. They're just going to try to play it and be stupid about it, right?
Agreed.
They're going to try to play dumb, like they have no idea, what happened. But at the end of the day, this is all just a waste of everybody's time. Because it's going to happen.
Time, money, energy, it's just a load of nonsense. Let's just move on. And not look like a bunch of a-holes.
Well,
right?
The fact, and if you look at what Xbox is doing, like Microsoft, they're moving ahead with all their original plans. So remember, they made that deal with NVIDIA and they made a deal with Boosteroid. And they're already saying come June 1st on Boosteroid, you're going to be able to play Deathloop, Gears 5, Grounded, and Pentiment. So they're already putting their games over there. They have contracts in place. They're not saying, oh, we're waiting for the Activision deal. No, they know what's going to happen. Well, so they're just starting to put things where it needs to go.
That's a big deal, right? Like, and I love that because they said this is not the only thing we've got going on. And it excites me, the idea that like there's just so much more happening that they're working on. What else is coming? That's why I'm so pumped for the freaking showcase. I want to see what's coming, what they're doing, what they're letting us know, what we're in for. And I think that whatever they do tell, and I hope it's a lot, is just a little taste.
Yeah, I really think that they're really going to knock our, like they're not just like treat this as a joke. This is their opportunity to show that they're competing, even though they've already shown it, but it's to make it undeniable that they're competing. That they are going to be ruthless in the market, and that PlayStation better be scared.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, I really feel like Microsoft doesn't really give a shit about PlayStation. Like, I feel like it sounds stupid because, like, competing and all this shit, yeah, they're competing. Like, they want to win. They want to be number one. But at the end of the day, they just want people to want to subscribe to Game Pass. Whether you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, they don't give a shit. They want you to be like, wow, what great value I'm getting from Game Pass. I'm going to go use my shitty PC and I'll stream the games. Or I'm going to use my phone and I'll stream the games. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just want you to do it. Or be like, you know what? I'm going to go buy an Xbox Series S on sale because this holiday, they're going to have it on sale. It'll probably be $200. And people are going to be like, fuck yeah, I'll get this. To play Game Pass? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like us, right? I buy a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation, whatever PlayStation comes out, we buy for the exclusives, right? But it sits there most of the time, not doing anything until an exclusive comes out, and that's it. And people will do the same thing on the other end. People will love their PlayStations and play all their games on PlayStation. But if the game's on Game Pass,
hey,
you play it on your Xbox, right? Because it's free.
Because why not?
Exactly. So, I mean, that's really cool that you see like Microsoft kind of just moving forward and not waiting.
Dwelling.
Absolutely. So let's take a turn out of this whole Xbox, Activision merger, CMA scenario. And let's go ahead and talk about our boy, John Wick.
Oh, yes. Reeves. Okay. Thank you. Woo! John Wick. Yes, baby. I am dying to watch the movie. I need to watch John Wick 4. They need to giddy up, hurry up, get it going, because I need to see it. All right? I told you guys I'm not about that movie theater life. Doodle's not digging that idea, and the movie's super long. So, like, the thought of sitting there for that long, not Gucci Gooch for me. So yeah, I just want to be able to watch it at home.
I think I want to see the John Wick movies. Just 4, right? So
yes,
yeah, I think they look very interesting. And
have you never watched one?
You never seen the other ones, man? All right, so we got to sit you down and watch these movies.
And I like action movies. Like I still want to see Terminator.
They're crazy. The first one we got to watch, and the second one, yeah, they're all fucking fire.
I heard the first one and the fourth one are the best. The second one has a weaker story, but has some of the best action. And the third one, similar scenario to 2. But the action is over the top and shit. So,
yeah, I mean, they're just all phenomenal. So the news is that they confirmed that Part 5 is being made.
Yes,
but
baby.
They also said that it is going to be in our future releases. Meaning, so we're going to keep getting more and more. So they're saying that you can rely on a regular cadence of John Wick moving forward.
Oh, like 6, 7, like they're going to keep making them.
So they're going to keep making them as long as people keep watching them.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as
it did so well,
Reeves
dude.
Can move.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
He's going to be like my boy, what's his name?
Yep.
Neil, yes. I freaking love him.
Liam Neeson,
yeah. I can watch
there
movie
is
that he
only
makes.
a single concern with
I really feel like he's going to be him.
Is that they do a rare thing. Like 3, usually the third one's a fuck up. They managed to make 4 movies and have them all critically acclaimed to like where John Wick 4 was getting 10s across the board and shit. 5, that's already stretching it, but they could pull it off. If they just keep making them like to 10 to 20 as long as people are watching it, it's bound to deteriorate in quality. There has to be if they're making that much.
Well, but I mean, like, I don't think you should live your life that way, worrying about that, right? Like, what we want to do is take the fact that with that mindset, they should have stopped at 3. You know what I'm saying? But they made 4 and it was getting 10s across the board, right?
I get that.
So, like, as much as you might say eventually it's going to be shit, well, when is eventually, right? Are we going to get a banging 5 and 6 sucks? Or we're going to get a banging 5, 6 and then 7 sucks? Like, I'd rather wait until it's shit to worry about it being shit than prematurely stop something that has shown that it's a badass idea. This is the thing you got to remember. Action movies always come out. Whether it's John Wick or a different movie, somebody's going to make an action movie, right? The fact that John Wick is such a badass, it's the best fucking way to do it. Plus, you could introduce new characters that might spin off at some point to be, the next John Wick, right?
Yeah.
To continue off where John Wick was. We don't know, right? But the point is that I don't want to sit there and say, they should stop before they fail. You know what I'm saying? You go until you fail. You know what I'm saying? And then even after you fail, you do
trying.
one more.
Yeah.
I mean,
to see if you can fix the failure.
That's the thing. Like, you shouldn't end on a failure. I hate when they do that. Phenomenal movies, they end with the worst one. And they're like, well, that was a wrap. Like, that's just where you're going to be remembered most likely by the most recent entry.
Well, you know why that happens, right? Because of the mentality that you just brought up.
Like video games, they do that all the time. Dead Space 1 and 2 were massively acclaimed. 3 was a shit show. They were like, oh, well, that was the end of Dead Space. Until the remake, obviously, but that took forever.
Well, I mean, I think this is the thing. I think a lot of things does it, like when people are making them, if they find some success on the first one, they immediately think trilogy, right? So they say, I'm going to make part 2, and if that one does well, we'll make the third one, right? But at the same time, with video games, it's a little different, dude, because they spend years and years and years making these games. So like creatively, you start wanting to do different things. And the problem is that fans of that game don't want you to make it that different. You know what I'm saying? They want more of the same, just bigger and better. Right.
Yeah.
So, I can tell you right now, don't change Keanu Reeves, right? You can't come out here and take him away from us and use a different actor, right?
That's part 5.
That's a no, right? He fits that role so perfectly. We went from like him settling into the Matrix, which was a perfect freaking role for him. And now he's freaking John Wick. And every time I think of Keanu Reeves, it's like, that's John Wick right there. Like he embodies that character so well. And as long as we have different movements of fighting, there's always a reason to have him out there and go fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's part of that situation, right?
Exactly.
So that situation doesn't go away.
It can never end, right?
Yep.
And all we need to do is find more creative ways of having him do fighting techniques,
and put him in different situations.
Exactly.
Maybe he has to protect somebody. Maybe he has to save somebody. Mm-hmm. Maybe he has to go kill somebody.
Maybe they're just hunting him down and he's trying to survive. Yes.
Maybe he's in the jungle now.
Which is funny
honestly, I don't care. Put him in the jungle.
Listen,
Keanu Reeves.
Go ahead.
Like Keanu Reeves he was at both ends of the stick. How proving that sequels could be amazing, but also how sequels can be a shit show. For example, like you mentioned, The Matrix.
Yes.
The first one was epic. I actually got to see the first movie finally, and it still holds up. It looks great.
Agreed.
Even though the story's not anything to write home about, it was still an epic time. It was an epic movie. Mm-hmm. It was a fun watch overall.
The first one?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a game changer. It was It was not only a good movie, but it changed
cinematography.
Yeah, exactly. It changed
100%.
everything. So that movie gets praised not only because it was a good movie.
It was so ahead of its time.
It was a game changer. It changed the way movies were made, the way people thought about how you can shoot action scenes.
Yes.
Like it needs to have that respect put on its name.
Of course it does.
Now you haven't watched part 2.
Not 2 or 3.
Not 2 or 3, right?
Well, the idea is, 2 and 3, they came out immediately after, the same year it actually came out. That was an example of how, like, despite the success of the original, they bombed with audiences and critics alike. And then they gave it a go with the 4th one. And I was like, oh, this could be kind of neat. 4 was so bad. It was the first time I didn't even want to finish it because of how abysmal it was. Like, even the Emoji Movie, which was shit. I was like, I can at least watch the movie.
Yeah.
It was tolerable, but shit. That was so shit, I didn't even want to finish it. So, yeah.
So the thing that you have to do is you have to watch part 2 and part 3 before worrying about what people say about things, right? Because your opinion is not other people's opinion.
I mean, what scares me is that part 4 is considered better than 2 and 3 at least. And I'm like, then how bad could they be?
But it's not, because I watched part 2 and watched part 3 and I enjoyed them. Part 2 was really good. Part 3 was less good, but it was still good.
Did you like 4?
I fell asleep. I don't know. Maybe I do like it. I don't know.
So I would speak my experience with it. The first one was great. I did not like the second, and I certainly didn't like the third one. And the fourth one was frustrating because I felt like they had the elements where he was out and she was out, and they were trying to, like, they felt connected to the, like, there was something more, right? And like,
potential?
I thought there was potential. It was cool to see them together again. It didn't live up.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yes, I did.
You watched even to the end?
Yeah,
Was it still shit?
I think, yeah, in my opinion, it was. So, like, this is kind of like, and this is what I feel, Sex in the City. Like, and they even made the show, they brought it back, and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I watching? But some people are so happy that it's back, right? I felt like some of the movies were unnecessary, but some people loved all the movies. Wait,
Sex and the City was a film franchise?
They made, I think they made 3, no?
That was just a show.
Or 2 or 3. But yes, they did have the show, then they made the movie, and then they brought the show back. So, like, you know, there are people watching it. It's just not my cup of tea. The extras that they've made, right?
Yeah, I guess we could go on forever about how some sequels just cannot and probably will not live up. Like how, like, the John Wick scenario reminds me of Toy Story. Because if you notice, the first one obviously was a great movie, it's a classic. The second one took all the themes of the original and managed to make it even more fleshed out and even more in depth than you possibly thought they could with toys. The third one, like, the same shit, but fucking phenomenal. The fourth one, like, I don't hate it as much anymore.
But John Wick, the fourth one is freaking popping, yo.
Really.
But you don't know because you haven't seen them.
I saw part 4.
Of John Wick.
No, I'm talking about Toy Story. And what you got to do is you got to stop talking about Toy Story in this house and on our stream.
We know
because
how far this goes for us.
We are 100% split on this. So that thought process needs to die on this channel because I don't agree 100%.
With the Toy Story
saying that John Wick could happen. Like, they managed to pull off 4 they managed to pull off. They could fuck up just like they did with Toy Story.
But listen, Madman, we're talking about, okay, so we can't be afraid of failure, right? If something doesn't go exactly as we imagine, we didn't know if the Mario movie was going to be good or not. They didn't know if people were going to receive it well, and it's a freaking phenomenon. I don't think that they should stop the John Wick. I disagree with you 100%. These movies need to keep going. I'm freaking hyped. I can't wait to freaking see the next one. And I don't want them to stop.
That you need a finish on a high note is stupid.
That's a load of nonsense.
You give me until I don't want. Think about Star Wars. If they would have had that mentality, they would have stopped at the prequels.
Yes, and they have new people watching the new stuff that don't even know the old stuff.
And we would never got Mandalorian.
And the point is, when is the right time? Even if you failed with one of them, it doesn't mean the next one's not going to be great.
Yeah,
this whole mentality
ideas,
of when to stop is not defined or decided by anybody. Like, you can't just give in to the idea that you can fail, because then you'll never do anything.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
I do want to finish Mandalorian season 3 because I want to see if they got it together, because it was
they didn't, because you don't hear about it.
I mean, I just got 7 the entire review.
Yeah, so
I was like, ugh.
it didn't get it together. It was okay. We will eventually watch it, but at the end of the day,
that's upsetting. Like, the first 2 seasons were absolutely perfection. I really thought 3 was going to be the same thing. I was like, how could they? That's a problem though. Like, 2 ended perfectly. It was such a good ending. And in my mind, I was kind of like, yeah, they are stretching it. But I was like, but it's Mandalorian. They can't fuck this up. And I don't know. I haven't finished it, but it seems like they didn't really do that great. So,
Hey, listen, that's the beauty, right? It doesn't take away what you saw at part 2. You know, that season 2. It didn't change season 1. You watched them, you enjoyed them. If you don't like 3, you don't like 3.
Listen, let's not forget that the Mando is busy right now with The Last of Us, right? So
Pedro Pascal, yeah,
maybe. I wonder what they're gonna do with the next one.
I'm very excited, and you know what's crazy? Like, obviously, he's done the work. He's a huge actor, and he deserves to get paid, right? But they were talking about how, you know, Joel and Ellie essentially are equals to what the story will be, right? And like just as important. And they talked about, you know, the pay between the two being like day and night. How much money
Pedro
he
Pascal's
got.
a humongous actor.
That's what I'm saying.
Bella
Like,
Ramsey, I'm sure she did stuff.
The
but
pay for the girl versus the guy. Of course,
yes.
he's a fucking
But
real.
like, we can't. Yes, we understand that the roles are such a big deal. Obviously, I'm pretty sure that she's going to negotiate for season 2 or whatever. But
and
you have
to,
but you have to earn that, right?
Yeah.
I personally wasn't sold on her as Ellie. Remember, I had such a struggle, and I think like through maybe like 2 episodes where I was like, yo, she played it well in those episodes. But throughout the entire time, I go back to the video game Ellie and I'm like, dude, she's not Ellie, you know?
I mean, it's fair. Like, remember, season 2, nothing's happening with that because of the writer's strike. They can't do shit. So,
oh my gosh, yes.
Everything.
Maybe they're using AI.
Things is fucking done. Like, everything's
they're
done.
They're gonna use AI to write the next Last of Us. So listen, there's actually more to this. I didn't read it all, but the whole John Wick thing. There's a spinoff that is coming out next year called Ballerina.
Oh yeah, I shows the doodle the trailer. There's a trailer out already.
So that's then, and then they have they're in development on 3 others, including John Wick 5, and including a television series called The Continental.
I might have heard the name. I don't think there was a trailer. Maybe there was, but I heard the name for sure.
So they're building out the world.
John Wick cinematic universe.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of John Wick going around. So it's not just the next movies. It's the spin-offs. It's the world that they're introducing out there.
That's kind of cool. Like, I remember when, back in like 2014, when the first movie came out, it was just that cool action movie, and I never thought of it anything more.
So they're doing
and
spin-offs.
Now it's like an actual film franchise, and that's kind of cool when you think about it.
So they're branching out?
Yeah.
So they're using the name to try to broaden it out and bring a lot more money in. See, See, Madman, I disagree with the whole making more movies, but that is risky. I feel like...
I mean, actually, I agree with that part more, because you allows you for more creativity and opportunities than you could have ever had with the same guy as a star, but it allows you to flesh out parts of the movie maybe that seem so minuscule, but add extra layers to not only the world, but the movies themselves, and it becomes bigger and bigger.
So, The Continental is a 3-part prequel series starring Mel Gibson.
What?
Will debut first in September on Peacock.
Wait, first? What does that mean?
I love that they're bringing it straight to Peacock. So it's going to come to
Peacock first before it goes anywhere else.
I'm excited about that, 100%.
Oh.
I'm glad that they're not getting these huge stance on the situation. And it's like, well, go to the movies if you want to see it.
Oh, 3 parts. So what was that, a show?
Yeah, it's a prequel series.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. At first, I was like, oh, this is where it can thin out. Kind of like, you know how Yellowstone was so beloved by us, and then they went ahead and they made like, I don't know, 50 freaking branches out.
To be fair, we never really watched them.
Well, we did try, and a lot of it we just couldn't get into. And that's the problem, right? So... like, that freaks me out. Like, you're going to thin it out.
Well, it doesn't take away the movies, right? So, like, you could just be a movie fan. It doesn't, but it takes focus
from it. So, like, let's say unless they're having completely different teams.
Yeah, it would be different.
If they go ahead and start messing around with the idea of a whole other story, whole other characters, and then they try to merge it in and, like, kind of like the whole Marvel Universe nonsense, this is where it can get a little tricky. But,
yeah,
you know,
but you could also see how
you
might be watching this show, see this bad guy or see this dude who's badass,
and you want to know more.
And then John Wick 6 comes out and he's the main guy that John Wick has to go after, or whatever the case is. And it's like, oh shit, I have more context to a lot of the stuff that's in here versus just not knowing, right? So It's like when they make a Marvel video game. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, oh shit, that's the bad guy.
Yeah,
because you know the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to it just being some random person, they could build out a world where there's a lot of hitmen and all that shit in this world that they can go ahead and use.
I just think that what they're trying to do is branch it out from Keanu Reeves.
I mean, he's not going to live forever.
I get it.
So it's smart.
I get it. It is smart, but as an actor, I will be like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, but John Wick, but he is part of it. They said that
if he's producing
Keanu
and
Reeves
getting
is deciding with the other guy. I forget his name.
Yeah, you got to give him, his place.
And also, one of the main characters, Charon, will probably not be there anymore because his actor passed away, Lance Reddick. So they probably have to compromise a little bit.
Well, they just take him out. He wasn't he's a character in there, but you just work around him. He's not Keanu Reeves. So anybody outside of Keanu Reeves can be replaced and changed, or just delete their character and put a new character in his place. Not being insensitive to the guy who passed away, but I'm talking about but the movie's the movie, right? Like the show must go on. So it says here that the fate of the franchise will be determined by Keanu Reeves and director Chad Stahelski over a bottle of whiskey in Japan.
What the hell?
So
yeah.
What the you're right. So yeah, so what do you think about the spin-offs?
Oh, well, I think that the spin-offs are very healthy for such a franchise. You can't, if they're really gonna try and make like a bunch of movies, you can't just leave the movies as is. They gotta like expand the world in other ways that would adequately make the movies more justified, because you can imagine it's like a structure, a building. Like you can make a little house and that's cute, but if you try to make a skyscraper, you gotta have a little more support. And the spin-offs are the support to connecting everything, not making every movie feel like a loose web.
Listen, Madman, the idea of them risking the whole thing that they have going on, that freaks me out. I want more. I do love the John Wick movies. I want more of it all. So that's what freaks me out if they're like spreading thin. The idea that they're using Keanu Reeves to kind of set everything up and the route that they're taking, that's different. You know what I'm saying? Like I love the fact that they're respecting that he's pretty much made these movies, right? Because like I said, he does fit the freaking characters so well. So if he can't deliver as an actor and, do what they're asking of him or make it his own, then the movies obviously would not be as successful as they are today, right? So the fact that they're including that, including him, it makes me put my guard down a little bit and trust the project a little bit more, rather than them being greedy and kind of just trying to expand it and kind of squeeze him out, like where they're making another franchise as, popular or whatever, using what, Keanu Reeves has built to kind of squeeze him out a little bit,
Yeah. And, like he could always just be like, what, I'm too old, I can't do this shit anymore. And like, oh man, well, who's gonna be the new John Wick? No, ballerina, you got yourself a movie, So they could do that easily. And it makes a lot of sense. It's justifiable in many ways. And plus, I think that it's just natural to want to explore the world, because if you're getting that many movies and your world is ballooning so much, people are going to become more interested in other parts of the world. You can't just act like that's the only piece that matters.
Yeah. 100%.
Just think about this. Spider-Man and Spiderverse, stuff like that.
Yes.
Obviously, it's supposed to be one-off, but then they confirmed sequels. Across the Spiderverse this year, Beyond the Spider-Verse next year, which will be part 2 to Across the Spider-Verse. And do you know they're actually making an all-female spinoff of all-female spiders?
Ooh, I like that. I didn't know that.
It's going to be like a big-budget movie like these other spiders. So and I think there's even word about a TV series. I think they might have confirmed it, but like nothing else came up after that. But still, like, it's natural to want to expand it, and that's pretty rad if you ask me.
I agree. All right. Well, you guys sold me on it 100%. So thank you. The piece that was missing for me is Keanu Reeves being involved with everything else and all the other projects. So I'm at peace with that, because I trust, Cyberpunk,
Yeah, Johnny Silver.
Come on, Johnny Silver. Yeah, so I'm like, I'm good. I'm Gucci. I'm in. What do we got next, C?
All right, so this is interesting because of what the show was. Our boys Arkane, season 2. There's an update. Batman, why don't you talk about it?
Yes, so luckily, first, right off the bat, Arkane was not affected by the writer's strike, so things are going along just as they were before. That's good. But also, it took, when they made the first season of Arkane, they did not expect people to really give a shit that much. Like, they made it, obviously, mainly for League lore and shit like that, but they weren't expecting it to become the hit it was. And when it blew up, they weren't even working on Arkane. They thought that was kind of it. But they were kind of like, oh, we gotta make a new season. It's supposedly they're aiming for roughly next year, maybe longer if it takes too long. But the big update is that currently they're recording the soundtrack for season 2, which if you remember, the first season had an epic soundtrack. That was like Enemies from Magic Dragon, Playground, and shit like that. The soundtrack was quite fire. So the hype is that, like, are they gonna hire Imagine Dragons again? Are they gonna make a new soundtrack with a new band or singer? Like, they could do something pretty wild, and I'm looking forward to that. So yeah. The first season was amazing, by the way.
The update? So I guess that was it. Christian Link, the showrunner, talked about how it's going to be something very special. Holy smokes, so they're really excited about
This is the first time they actually talked about it, apart from like the little teaser with Lou just saying Arkane Season 2 is happening. They're actually saying that progress is going very smoothly. People are going to be super excited. Soundtrack is being basically worked on. So it's coming very close to completion, and that's the exciting part, because it took 6 years to make Season 1. The fact that it's going along quicker is good, especially in short notice. So that's pretty wicked.
So, I never finished Arkane.
Shit.
I did not.
I was lucky enough to finish that shit. It was fucking phenomenal. Like, I cannot even, I'm not even exaggerating. It's phenomenal in every single way. So good.
Yeah, I definitely was intrigued by it, and I thought it was good. And I think we saw a couple more episodes. I saw a couple more episodes, right?
I think so. Like, maybe two. You didn't get to 3. 3 is where things go down.
Yeah, so I'm still kind of open to it, but I don't know. Has the ship sailed for you?
A little bit, but I'm not opposed to go ahead jumping back in when it has to be during the day. And I feel like it has to be when there are, right now I have some things going on that I'm super into, and I can't wait to
Television
watch.
and film spectrum.
See, can you
That's
check
fair.
your mic?
What do you mean?
Make sure it's
I'm so muted.
Oh, wow. C-Money was muted this whole time.
We couldn't hear you.
Aw,
They couldn't hear you.
man.
We
I
could
was
hear you.
muted
What a
like
shame.
a clown. Damn it.
Thanks for bringing that back up.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It was a clown move. I'm okay doing it. Listen,
You
I-
just can't. Okay, so
And
this
don't
is the
get harassy,
thing. This
folks,
is,
in the
and I was
chat.
just typing it. You can't kill a joke.
Yeah.
All right. You can't make it to a point where it's like, if you got to think of yourself when you're making fun of something. So if you make fun of something and it's like, haha, funny, but then when you're coming at someone and it's almost bullying, then there's a line, right? So you can't turn it into that. It has to. It's a joke, but don't kill it.
Agreed.
You know.
well, this was a clown moment for me.
That
So
was a clown moment,
that
but then
was
that was funny, and that's what it is. And then we move on.
Absolutely. So Arkane, you said you're still open to it, but it's not
Priority compared to some other shows and films.
priority. Yeah, I get that.
That's fair.
All right. So another bit of news that is running around out in these streets is that Sony is planning more acquisitions for PlayStation. They're they have a certain amount of money. I think they're trying to free up, it was like $2 billion or something like that. So they're trying to put themselves in a position where they can go ahead and get more acquisitions. And a lot of people are thinking that they're trying to buy Square Enix.
I mean, they need someone to buy them. Like, it's not even funny. Like, literally, they're
Square
only...
Enix, you mean?
Square Enix, yeah. Like, I'm not talking about Sony. Like Final Fantasy is their only leg. Maybe Kingdom Hearts, and then that's where it ends. Everything else is a shit show for them. Bonfire. Their live service efforts are disgusting. And every other little, like, they sold off Crystal Dynamics, no Lara Croft or any of that funny stuff. So it's all over. Basically, this is a pretty bleak ending. Unless Final Fantasy 16 goes on to sell millions upon millions of units, which, even though I think it'll be a million seller, I don't think it'll go that wild. They need support. And I think Sony buying Square Enix will make a lot of sense. Microsoft would be a good candidate, but they seemed, Square Enix and Sony have a very good history. They've made a lot of games exclusive. Final Fantasy has a very strong relationship with them. If they were to put it on, Sony buy them, that would make a lot of sense. Plus, a lot of Square Enix games sell best on PlayStation. Like Kingdom Hearts 3, there was a big deal about it coming to Xbox, and it ended up selling significantly less on Xbox. And Final Fantasies sell less on Xbox and many other titles. So it would make a lot of sense. Honestly.
Final Fantasy used to get like a head start with PlayStation, right?
It still does. In fact,
the new one is doing the same thing.
On PlayStation,
the new one's
and
exclusive.
Market.
Damn.
16 is exclusive
to PlayStation. The only thing Xbox got now are the old remasters, like not even like Final Fantasy 7 remake, like old ass Final Fantasy 7 on PlayStation 1.
That's the thing. Like I'm at the point with Square Enix that it's like just fucking buy them, like buy them, and then that way when the shit's exclusive, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like Square is not in a good position. So if they're not in a good position, the only thing that makes sense for them to do is to put their games everywhere so that they can try to get the most return.
It's like if...
But they won't. They keep doing the same shit. And they took away the companies that were releasing. Basically, they sold the companies that were releasing games on Xbox.
It's like if you are like a guy and you have like a girlfriend, and you guys have been together for like 12 years, and you guys are so lovey-dovey in love with each other, obsessed with each other, always stay together, and they're like, we're not exactly tying a knot or anything, we're still open to other people and stuff like that, but we're just so in love, and everyone's just like, bro, just get married already. That's basically Sony and Square Enix. So, like, come on, just do it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Sony is doing the thing where they're like, well, why would we buy the cow if we get the milk for free? You know what I'm saying? Like if Square's just taking all the risk and we're just paying a certain amount of money to have it, why would we bring them in and then we have the risk now?
Yeah, because they're already having all the advantages of it all, right?
Yeah, they get the benefits from it.
It's selective. You know what I mean? Like if they mess up and they're, the game is not up to par, it's not a commitment.
Yeah, they just paid what they paid.
They pay what they pay.
If it
according
fails,
to what they see. And if it's garbage, they're like, all right, we don't need to pay that money this round.
So there was a report that Jez Corden did, right? Or for over on Windows Central, right? And they said that in an interview, Square Enix said that PlayStation offered a better deal than Xbox for Final Fantasy 16.
I heard about that, like some word about that shiz.
So basically the whole kerfuffle is that people are saying, like, how can PlayStation give them a better deal, right? Xbox can buy 100 Sonys. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have the ability to spend infinite amount of money if they wanted to get these things, right? But they're also practical, right? So in the interview, I'll tell you what the guy said, right? So the guy who works for Square, he said, Final Fantasy is one of Square Enix's most important franchises, up there with Dragon Quest and the Kingdom Hearts series. When we do begin development, we do approach multiple platforms, multiple companies about releasing the game. And when you approach them, they're going to come back to us with their offers. Okay. So they also made a note that when you go with PlayStation, they give them high level platform support with PlayStation engineers, which they didn't say otherwise, but it makes it seem like Xbox doesn't offer that extra support when it comes with it. So I don't know if maybe, it's a matter of them offering more or just the package was better. But this is the thing, right? You also got to take into account that when you have them looking at Xbox and when they're looking at Sony, they're saying if we release our game exclusively on Sony's platform, there's a lot more people there.
Yes.
Right? Which means I have a much better chance of selling a lot of copies on that system.
Mm-hmm.
So the money that they offer them doesn't necessarily have to be as much money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas Microsoft, if you make the game exclusive to Microsoft, you have to account for all the lost sales that you're going to have from the PlayStation,
Yes.
right? And since there
Or a lot more
by
PlayStations
definition
out there.
less Xboxes
Yes.
available, that means the game will be sold less no matter how you cut it, right? So they're saying, so you got to imagine they go to Microsoft, they're like, okay, well, what are you going to offer us?
Mm-hmm.
And Microsoft will offer you the standard, and they're like, well, no, because we're gonna lose more money. And Microsoft's like, bro, your game's not worth more than that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the
To
reality.
them, yeah.
Which is fair, because on Xbox, Final Fantasy doesn't do as well as on
Mhm.
PlayStation. Like, PlayStation's like a million seller. I don't know what it is, but when Square Enix put a game on Xbox,
Well,
PlayStation's always a
I
better.
can tell you what it is.
There
Square
are,
Enix fostered this.
Yeah.
If you don't release your games on Xbox, why would people be excited when you do? Like, they're not sitting there saying, "Oh my God, please, Square Enix, please do it." Like, it's like, no, you already don't do it.
You already
Right, we're
made
already
that
used to it.
choice, right? So this is the thing. And, you know, a lot of people may not be necessarily into the game. Maybe the game has been out, and by the time you get it on the Xbox, if that's the system you have, you're kind of like, all right, and been there, done that, like kind of don't want to bother with it. But also there's still people that have that pride, right? Where it's like, dude, you held this game from us. It's been out on the PlayStation. I'm not interested anymore. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm that type of person that will take that stand. And so I understand it.
So this is my
Like,
thing.
I'm not second fiddle to anything.
So that's the thing. It's funny because I have them both, right? So I have the PlayStation, I have the Xbox, right? Or we do, right? So, like, in theory, like we bought Madman Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes.
I think I have.
It's great, but
I think I have the PlayStation 5 upgraded version or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But it's like a part of me doesn't let me
like it in spite of the fact that
Yes.
they put on Xbox.
like it's like it's because of what they did that annoys me so much that I can't play it.
Exactly. See?
It's not that I don't
can't
want
do
to. I
it.
just can't do it, dude. Like every time I think of like, oh, maybe I'll play it. It's like, no, man. Like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like you over here, like treating us like we're fucking shitty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm all for exclusives, right? When they're actual exclusives. This is just Square Enix being a bitch. And it's like you did it multiple times. So it's like nah, dog.
Now, remember, they made a big
Nah.
deal about how Final Fantasy VII Remake was only timed. And
Yeah.
it never came to Xbox
And
or anywhere
the
else.
year passed and it was supposed to come out. They didn't do it. They keep re-upping with Sony. So it's like, okay, well, then you don't want us to play your games.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but then they were like, oh, no, Crisis Core? Oh, you guys can have that. The prequel to 7. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because it's like a setup. It's a setup by PlayStation to say, hey, go play that one. Then you're going to want to play the main game. But you can't. You got to play it on PlayStation.
It's like giving you leftovers, giving you garbage.
Yep.
No, thank
Like
you.
I didn't
I'll
touch that
pass.
game.
Forget
Final
it.
Fantasy 16, I'm going to play. But not because
I want to.
like it just looks dope. You know what I'm saying? Like it looks really good. And I typically don't care for Final Fantasy games because they're JRPGs. But this adventure game version of it, this looks pretty good. But like the other ones, like I just don't have that desire to play them.
And 7's weird because it's like 90% action, but they still try to throw in commands and shit like that. Like when you're fighting, you switch over to like a slow time event where it's like what special do you want to use? And it's like, okay. But they try to incorporate RPG to an action RPG. And it's like, I see what you're doing. It's not really action RPG, but it's kind of an action RPG.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, that's the only studio that I can see Sony trying to buy. Because even though Square Enix is a shit show, they still cost a lot of money.
I agree. It would be cheaper probably to buy them if this is the relationship that's going to continue. However, I agree with your point as well, where why buy the cow if you're getting the milk for, cheap?
Like, remember,
Question mark?
like Square, like, even though they're not doing hot today, they're responsible for some of the greatest games ever made, like Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana,
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
but the
And it's like-
past doesn't pay the bills today. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why their price tag will be big, because they have so much legacy content that still adds up. you'll own that if you.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that makes them expensive is Final Fantasy 14. That's their online game that is still going, that people pay a subscription to. Jeez. So that's huge, and that's the only thing that literally has saved them. That's why they got rid of all the other studios, because at this point, their online game pays the bills. Like, it's what keeps people going, so they don't feel the need to do anything else, right? So that's like their saving grace, and that's what makes them most valuable to people who might be buying them. Now the question is, do you think Microsoft should go and just scoop them up?
Because they already have such a shitty record. It's like introducing.
I wouldn't myself.
It's like if your kids have like a nemesis that's like a dick to them, but then they're like, "Oh, I married his mom, and look at him now. He's your brother or some shit." And they're like, "Ugh, we don't want to be near that." So it's kind of like reintroducing your enemy, or at least the person doesn't want to put their games on your platform as like, "Hey, he's one of us now." It's kind of like, you're probably not going to have a good time selling him to everyone. So, it's weird. But the real question is, do you think Square Enix will have like a redemption arc like Capcom, where they'll be on like their deathbed and then they put out some like monumental success that isn't Final Fantasy 14 that saves them?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think they're capable, to be honest with you. I think Final Fantasy is their only wheelhouse that they have. And the problem is that no matter what people think or say, Final Fantasy is still a niche. It's a niche game. It's not something that is super duper successful. It's just not. That's just the reality. It's an old brand. Kids today, they don't give a shit about Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
That's not like Call of Duty or some shit where like no matter what, no matter how much they try, they always are cool with the kids.
Xbox is making their moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Xbox has, dude. If you think about what Xbox has done, they've taken games and they've proven that they can keep these service games going. You got Sea of Thieves, like you may not be into it and I may not be into it 100%, but like there's 25 million people who play that game every month.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like shit tons of people. You got State of Decay, old as shit. They keep doing updates for it because people keep playing it. Like it's still going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Grounded. Come on. Everybody thought that game was a joke.
Literally.
Everybody thought then people were making fun of it.
Yeah.
And it has over 10 million or over 15 million players that play that shit all the time.
Shit. I think it's probably that is Obsidian who made that. Like they're the people who made
Obsidian's
KOTOR
amazing.
and The Sick of Truth and Outer Worlds. And it's like, this is the game that you're bringing to the showcase. And it's like, yes.
I love the tone, Madman, in the delivery of the words.
Wow.
Absolutely. All right. Well, again, at the end of the day, we'll see if Sony kind of ponies up and makes it something where they go buy Square Enix or somebody else. I mean, they bought a lot of people already, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So another fun bit of news.
Oh, I heard about this.
Is our movie Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
Ooh,
okay.
Let's go. Yes.
Yes. We talked about this last podcast, and he's about to tell you the rest.
We talked about what podcast?
No. We mentioned something like this, but it's the same general topic, but this is a new piece of
guys, I'm like waiting.
All right.
Tell
Say
us.
it, money, please.
So the Super Mario Brothers movie is now the third highest grossing animated film of all time.
It beat The Incredibles 2. It did it.
So it was fourth place last time.
It was.
Some people debate that it's still fourth place because the Lion King remake is technically animated, but it's also not animated. It's weird. But out of purely like Frozen and like that kind of brand of clearly animation, it's third. So yeah. Do you think it'll beat Frozen 1? That's the...
No.
I think its core kind of ran.
How close is it right now to Frozen 2?
I think it's like really close though. It's like 1.2 billion, some shit that Frozen made or something.
So Frozen 1 and Frozen 2 are the
both.
only films left for Nintendo Illumination movie to surpass.
1.282 billion. It could do it, but I think it's just so basically dead in the theater realm. Everyone who wanted to see it saw it.
Yeah, so Frozen 2 is 1.276 and Super Mario's is 1.248.
No, 6.6 now. It updated.
What do you mean it updated?
I'm pretty sure
I'm looking at it right here.
Okay.
Is that the latest?
This is the link that Madman put in
Oh,
here.
but that might be from.
It's from the 23rd.
Okay, we're like 4 days in. Where is the 27th today? That makes a big difference. See, you don't know how many people went to see. Oh my gosh, are you crazy? For sure, every day makes a difference.
Yeah, I don't think it's that that big of a difference. So you don't
think it will be? I don't know if it will. I hope it does. I hope it
this is the thing. If they can do 20 million, which is what you just said, 1266 in 3 days, then of course it'll pass everything. Every 3 days it does $20 million. It'll be there in no time, right? It's not doing those numbers now, but it's at 1.248. Frozen 2 is 1.276. Can it pass that one? Yeah,
it's not impossible.
By the time the whole run is over, sure it can.
Not Frozen 2. There's zero chance.
But Frozen 1. What do you mean? Isn't Frozen 1 the one that's the highest?
No, Frozen 2 is at 1.4 billion.
Oh,
it's like there's zero way it'll
Frozen 2
pass
is at 1.4. I thought it was Frozen 1. Okay, so it'll pass. It might pass Frozen 1, but Frozen 2.
No way.
That one is way too far away.
There's zero.
Way too far away. And that's only theatrical. It's not going to count Blu-rays or anything like that.
Now, here's a real question. When Frozen 3 comes out, will that pass everything?
Yeah.
I mean, Frozen 2 proved that Frozen was still relevant even 6 years later. So,
dude, Frozen 3 is going to blow minds. It's going to be crazy good. So, Frozen is the top 2, right? So, the next one will be up there. Mario might do it. The problem for Frozen is that it can't get it back. So if Mario passes Frozen 1, then
you just got beat by a fucking plumber. A fat one. Which I'd agree that as a movie, I'd say probably Frozen 1 is better than Mario, but 2, Mario is definitely better than part 2. I think so. I think that I mean,
loose.
Do you agree that Frozen 1 was better than Mario movie?
I think Frozen 1 and 2 was better than Mario movie. Mario movie was just fun. There was no feeling outside of it being fun.
Frozen 2,
what did Mario movie do outside of just bouncing around and having fun?
That's
it was
what
a fun
I
movie.
Argued about. That's why I give it an 8 out of 10 because it's not a masterpiece because there was no really emotional depth.
No. But slow down. I'm not talking about that. Doesn't mean it can't be a 10. I'm saying that it's not better than Frozen.
I think it's better than. I think Frozen 1 is better than Mario
Frozen.
movie,
Both of them are better.
2 is not. I feel like Frozen 2 kept trying to push emotion, but it just felt like they were trying so hard. It was like it didn't really hit the mark because you felt like they were trying, and when you feel like they're trying,
listen,
that's
Frozen.
a problem.
This is the thing, okay, for me, and this is what I feel. I feel like yes, Frozen was great, and then you find out what the outcome is, or that little undercover thing. You know, it's like a suspense movie, and then you find out, like when you found out he was playing her the whole time. Then it's like, yeah, you can watch it for the songs, but the story, you kind of, like, once it's unveiled, you already know the story, kind of like was the secret behind it that was different from all the other princess movies. I feel like the Mario movie, it's more of a watch again and again.
I mean,
I can't wait to see it and have it. I feel like Frozen is just old and it's done. Like,
well, no, it's not done. Well, wait till Frozen 3. It's going to be $2 billion.
I would be very happy if they go ahead and beat Frozen out of and dethrone them.
I think that Frozen 1 will happen. I'm not here to say Frozen's like garbage. I think, I still think they're really good. Frozen 1, I think, is still one of the best Disney movies, period. It's just, I think 2 wasn't as good, but I still, like, I'm not like it's the worst thing in the world. I think the soundtrack's better than the first one, well, as a whole. But, you know, that's just me.
I'm excited. I'm glad it's in 3rd place. I hope it keeps climbing. And yeah, it's the Mario movie, baby.
Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it to come out on digital for us. Not on digital, it's already on digital, but
physical media.
Get our physical so that we can watch it digitally.
Yeah,
that's
seriously.
Weird. Yeah.
So Madman, real quick, I'm looking at the video right here. So you can literally, when you put down the blocks, you can literally add grass to it and then they'll turn green. Is that what it is?
Well, no, I plowed it. I used the hoe and I plowed the grass to make it, like, you know, okay for plants to be like grown.
So those are plants that's not grass, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
now
got
it's a wheat. It's a wheat plant. If you like plow it, it'll turn into wheat eventually. But if you just put it in average grass, it's just grass.
I get that. Okay. All right. I see.
So the next thing we're going to talk about very briefly is, especially in the context that we just spoke about who they might buy, right? Sony went ahead and had a deal with a studio called Deviation Games, and they were supposed to be making a new game for Sony, right? One of their games as a service games.
Yeah.
And it just came out that they ended up having to fire like the vast majority of their employees. Like,
ooh,
yeah, over
so
100.
they bought the studio and they laid out a bunch of.
They didn't buy the studio. No. They made a deal with the studio.
Yeah. Okay.
So the studio was being backed by PlayStation. They pretty much gave them the money to start the studio and do all that stuff, but it was their stuff. But I guess whatever they were making,
they weren't happy with.
Yeah, it did not go well. So they went. I guess they pulled the funding. So they had to fire over 100 people.
Ooh,
Dang.
Which is
a little wild.
Listen, I've said this. They're very business oriented. Obviously, they all have to be to a certain extent, but I do feel like we hear Phil Spencer. He's a little bit more easygoing, a little less invasive with their employees overall. But I expect nothing less from Jimmy Jim and PlayStation. They're very cutthroat. They don't play games. You're not gonna get away with some bull crap and like, let's hug it out and there's understanding here. No, this is business. The end.
So that means that that leads to the fact that Deviation's game is canceled. So that game's done.
Unless they do a hardcore turnaround, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, it's all the reports are saying that it is canceled, right? So what are they going to do, right? Are they going to just close up shop? Who else is going to hire them to do work, right? So this is the thing. PlayStation had two studios that were making these games, Deviation and another one called First Strike. And they were making first-person shooters, and they're both canceled. And you got to remember, PlayStation, the thing that they're missing are first-person shooters. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's their weakness. That's what they don't have. Mm-hmm. And it seems like they just can't do it, bro. Like, they can't fucking do it. Like, they have Killzone, and that studio doesn't even want to make them anymore because they can't compete with Microsoft. So they stopped making Killzone. Funny. I'm hoping they do another one.
Was Killzone, like, I feel like Killzone's like it was a big one in the sense that it was Sony's shooter, but you don't hear it thrown into the legacy
because it doesn't have one. It's not, it wasn't amazing. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, graphically, it was like a showcase, apparently. Like, remember the infamous 2 trailer where, like, it was supposed to be gameplay, but it was all just CGI? But it looked as good as like a PS4 game? Like, that's kind of cheap. But, yeah, were they actually good games?
They were okay. They were good. I liked them. I felt like they were different enough to be, something that was enjoyable. Mm-hmm. Killzone 3 was on the PlayStation 4 launch. And
No. That was Shadowfall. Yeah. 3 was like the PS3 game.
No. 4. I mean, whatever Shadowfall was. The latest 4. One.
That was like, hey, can you imagine? 2013
but that
was
one
the
was
last
good.
one.
That one was decent. It was good. It wasn't anything crazy, but it wasn't offensive. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. But there was a lot of potential there. Like, they could have done something, but I just feel like
I think Guerrilla's just done with Killzone.
They just couldn't get into, like, for whatever reason, first-person shooters are just not their
thing.
Their forte. Like, Sony just can't
do it.
Yeah.
Doodle, do you think that they'll ever be able to make a good first-person shooter?
I think they could because I'm holding hope for Xbox, right? I am holding hope. Like, I feel like this is... PlayStation delivers on everything else, right? So this is like their weakness. It's kind of like what you spend your money on and what you're really good at, right? And we've talked about how they're able to go ahead and give you that personal experience with the characters and everything else, right?
They're good at third-person, story-driven games.
Exactly. So I feel like this is their little hole that they need to figure out and come and elevate. And whether it's the team that they need to put together or this is what they find difficult to do, apparently. So... eventually they can figure it out. I think the spark there will be the fact that Xbox owns Activision will own Activision, and Call of Duty is going to be theirs. And that's going to light a little spark that wasn't there before for them to go ahead and get a little deeper into that aspect of the video games.
You know what's
Don't
the problem?
you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the issue is that they're really only good at third person story driven games, and I guess Gran Turismo, right? The driving game, which arguably isn't really that good anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Like so basically Xbox has done everything except the third person story driven game, and that's only because Gears of War is more action focused than story focused.
It is third person.
So it's third person. Gears of War is amazing. So they can make third person shooters that are fucking fire, right?
Yeah.
That are really good. But they just haven't given us that, you know, walking through a town, not battles every moment, you know, story focused third person games.
Yes, but see, Xbox has that locked down, right? Like
They have everything else locked
how
down.
to deliver that. So they just need to crack into that other thing. And I was saying, can they do it? Can they deliver? Is this the year where we're going to go ahead and see and feel that connection to their characters?
I think Hellblade 2
is going to be the one.
Is going to be the one that we know about.
Listen, for Xbox to be out here and crack the codes of what's missing for them before PlayStation, I think PlayStation was sitting pretty, knowing that, you know, Call of Duty's there. It's a big selling game for us. And I think right now is the time for them to figure it out. So if you ask me, I feel like Xbox and they all have a step ahead, because I don't think Jim saw this coming, and now it's time to go ahead and figure things out, rather than this is something that I feel that Phil was very aware that they were missing and they've been working on. And that's why they purchased so many studios and they've been trying to shake the house. I feel like this is why there's been so many delays, because they're not trying to give us the same nonsense anymore. They're trying to tap into what has been lacking.
They want to turn their Xbox into a Swiss Army knife where you can have possibly every possible genre covered.
Well, they have to, right? Because of Game Pass.
Yeah. See, Madman, I agree with that. And I don't, now they have Game Pass. And the reason why they can do that is because they have always been very inclusive.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the thing. I don't think they're doing this because of Game Pass. What they were doing led to Game Pass. They are very inclusive when it comes to gamers. They understand that there's not just one type of gamer. We don't want just that story to connect with. We also want to have fun, right? Yep. We want lighthearted games. We want shooting games. We want storytelling. There are people that are well-rounded and they play all kinds of games, but there are also the people that want just the fighting games, like, and are very explicit with what they want. And Xbox is able to deliver a variety of genres that are very good for people. And that's why it's partially hard for me to process the fact I do see the beautiful, stunning games that PlayStation's able to deliver, but Xbox is the more powerful system, and it is the most rounded system, in my opinion.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, 100%. And this is the thing, that even when you think about yourself, right, as a gamer, when you play games, right, like I think you can appreciate a story game when it's shown to you and delivered to you correctly. But overall, I mean, you're not really that type of gamer, right? Like if you're going to play something, you want to go over there and kill.
Agreed.
Right? Like that's your motivation, right? To fight, to kill, to do that type of stuff, right?
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
Yeah, so for you yourself, you know the differences, right? PlayStation for you is, as much as you like the stuff, you know, you like it for the action that they do, the shooty bang bang.
Yes.
You know, the killing, right? But like at the end of the day, the story, like, you know, you don't give a shit what's going on with Nathan Drake and his, you know,
hijinks and shit.
I was connected to Joel's story and Ellie's. With Nathan, I felt I didn't care. No, we were kind of running through the letters, and yeah, even his relationship with the wife, I didn't necessarily. Okay, it's
Last of Us
what's
and Uncharted
next?
are very different beasts. Like, obviously, Uncharted, it's less about the gripping narrative, and it's kind of like PlayStation's version of Tomb Raider. While Uncharted, The Last of Us is definitely very story driven. Like, it was almost like a script for like a movie or some shit. You could have made it into a movie instead, and it would have been the same experience.
I mean, they made it into a show.
I mean, they did eventually.
And it was the same experience. Like, it was that good.
Actually, fun fact. Did you know that both Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, and Last of Us started off as Jack and Daxter 4? But they all went completely sideways in their direction, and they just became their own games.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's true.
Jack and Daxter was a good game back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
The first 3, they were something. It was basically an era that Naughty Dog will never go back to.
No, it was
platformers.
How can they go back?
They can't.
Right?
They can only move forward. And
they can only move forward. They can grab maybe what they had and say, okay, well, let's do this again. And now with the technology we have.
I mean, it can't do Crash because that's Activision. But
see, this is the thing. Like, that's what I love about Naughty Dog. Like, I feel like they are willing to walk away from some shit that they made
and never go
to
back.
just progress forward. They want to move forward. They don't want to be tied down. Like, if they make another Uncharted, there's certain things they have to do to make it an Uncharted game. And they don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to have to keep telling the same story or keep doing that. They want to move forward. They want to progress. And the Last of Us universe, I think, is more open.
Yes.
Right? There's more stories to tell. Like, saving Ellie in part 1 wasn't the end of that story. You know, part 2, they fast forwarded and she's a young lady now, and she has, you know, that life that she's doing. And then there's going to be an older version of her later on, right? There's still so much more to tell.
So what happens with Naughty Dog is what MADMAN talks about. I feel like they know what they're going to give you and they know when to stop. And then they're like, okay, if anybody wants to continue with that, you're going to have to find another team to work on it, because what we had a vision for has concluded, and now we're moving on to the next thing. So they're kind of like how you see things, MADMAN, where it's kind of like, okay, we have this. We're going to either, you know, break it up and we're going to deliver that, and then that's done. And it's a closed chapter for us, and we're moving on to the next thing.
They've done that very few times. Like, they outsourced a Jack and Daxter game once after they were done after 3 in some racing game. They're like, we're done with that shit. So you can do, like, Sony wanted another one. They just outsourced it. So, like, you know, they are prime examples of ending it. Like, 4 was conclusion. I think a part 3 of Last of Us is possible, but not anytime soon. They're more interested in doing new shit.
They already said they're making a single player experience when that's one of the things we're going to talk about. But I think, you know, this is actually pretty common in the video game industry, where one studio makes one game and then a different studio makes the sequel. It has happened many, many times. And it's because, you know, at the end of the day, it's just about your idea funnel, right? Like, how many ideas do you have? Did you get all your ideas out on the last game you made? Can you come up with new ideas that are more exciting or better? And sometimes the answer is no. And your ideas are for something completely different, and that's what you want to go do. So, like, I can respect Naughty Dog for being able to just say to themselves, okay, we told the story we wanted to tell, and we're storytellers at our heart. So if anything else other than this is just forced and we don't want to do it, so we're walking away. They announced back when the Uncharted 4 came out that was their last Uncharted. But obviously, there's going to be more Uncharteds. They have all the program language in there. They have all the code. Sony can just give it to somebody else and have them do something with it, right? It's not like the next person has to start from scratch. They're going to take the base game that was there and do it, just like God of War, right?
That's
God
true.
of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok, not made by the same people.
No.
Made by the same studio, right? Sony Santa Monica, but the team changed. The team that made God of War 2018 is with Cory Borlaug making the next game that he's making. That's supposedly some type of sci-fi game, so I don't know how that's going to be. And then a different person took over God of War Ragnarok, and that's where most of these games end up going. You know, the next sequel is just from somebody else, even though it might be the big overhead studio, right? Like, Sony owns this shit, so it's always going to be a PlayStation game. Just somebody else will make it. So now that we're actually talking about this, let's actually just hop right in, since it seemed like we were leaning in this direction anyway with Last of Us. So if you remember our predictions, one of the things that we were thinking that we were going to see was Last of Us Factions, which is the multiplayer game that they've been working on. And realistically speaking, it was at last year's Summer Games Fest. At the end, they closed with the trailer for the show.
I remember
for The Last of Us,
the show, and then there was like the game Part 1 remake, right?
It's not Part 1 remake. They're just making a new Factions game.
No, but wasn't that like? Didn't they announce it at the same time, or was that a different event?
No, I think it was different. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did, but I know for sure that they talked about it. It might have been. But they talked about Factions, and they showed a screenshot of Factions. And we are thinking, wow, that was a while ago. They should definitely have something to show us. And then they didn't show us anything at this showcase, right? And it's like, why? You know what I'm saying? But now we know. So there was a report that the folks over at Naughty Dog were having setbacks with the game, and that it most likely was going to be delayed. Now, after that came out, Naughty Dog did give a statement. So this is the statement. All right. The Last of Us fans, we know many of you have been looking forward to hearing more about our The Last of Us multiplayer game. We're incredibly proud of the job our studio has done thus far. But as development has continued, we've realized what is best for the game is to give it more time. Our team will continue to work on the project as well as our other games in development, including a brand new single-player experience. We look forward to sharing more soon. We're grateful to our fantastic community for your support. Thank you for your passion for our games. It continues to drive us. So if you see there, they mention it. Our team will continue to work on the project as well as our other games in development, including a brand new single-player experience. Single-player experience. Is that Last of Us 3?
Last of Us Part 3, or
are they
maybe a Last of Us in a part of the Last of Us universe, but it could be like a side story with different characters or something. Hell, maybe Part 3 will be about different characters. Who knows? I feel like Last of Us is a world that you can easily explore more, whether it's in like the first game's kind of neck of the woods where it was in that time frame, or maybe Part 2 is where it's in the like future and shit like that. Like you can even do it between Part 1 and Part 2 and have a story in there that happened. And I think Last of Us is a good enough world.
I don't think they can go back because it's too far forward now. Like Part 1 set up where they are in Part 2. Part 2 fast forwards time.
So I was going to say that, like, I personally have not played Part 2. Like, I played the first one, so I don't know exactly how far they took the story.
Do you want to play it?
I do. I will play it, but I don't know how far they took the story or like where it ended. I know a lot happened from what I've heard from you and what I remember you saying as you were playing the game. But what I did notice with the show is how they can take some of these characters and head in the direction of like branch off to their story. And they were very entertaining. From the show, those were some of my favorite episodes. So as MADMAN said, there is a lot of content there and a lot of routes that they can take. They can literally make a game just on side stories of the characters that were there. When we started playing the game, see, Money, I recall you telling me this is focus on Ellie and Joel. Anybody else that pops in, just pops in, but you don't have that connection with them. You feel very connected to Joel, Ellie, in their storyline. And in the show, they were able to make you connect with the other characters that weren't that necessarily a big part of the game. At that, they made you kind of really love these characters that I didn't feel that connection with in the game. So they could branch out. There could be a lot more that they can do. Are they working on more of The Last of Us? Listen, we don't know. And like knowing how they are when they're kind of like done with something, like
see, but I feel
because
like
of the
this
show
universe,
is the only reason.
I feel like this universe they're not done with. And Shintaro said in the chat that he never played The Last of Us. Is it good?
Oh my gosh, Shintaro.
What I would say is that when you're sitting home and you got nothing to do, right? If you're just sitting saying, I got nothing to do, go
oh my gosh,
to our
Shintaro.
playlist. We played the whole game.
You have to.
Doodle played the whole thing on the recordings before we were going live.
Oh my gosh.
Go look at the playlist.
The entire game is
it's
there.
All there.
You can see the whole thing. Shintaro, I could not wait to play the next part. Like, it was so good. And the great thing with those recordings is that we did watch the show side to side. So we kind of fill in some of the things that they gave us from the show that were not in the game.
Yeah,
so
we
you
talk
kind of
about
get
it.
a full understanding of the entire thing and where they're going with it. But yeah, I couldn't I've never I literally completed the whole game. These are not my type of games. Yep. And we play the whole thing. It was crazy. You have to watch it.
I feel like we should do part 2 and just kind of do it. Meaning like we'll do Doodles Never Have I Ever like on during the week or whatever, and then we'll make that our extended play every Saturday.
Yes.
Like we'll just play until we beat it because it's so good, dude. I really want you to see it, especially after part 1 and how much you loved it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Part 2 is crazy.
Better than part 1?
It's crazy. The story is very different. It's darker. It's like really showing you what this world has done. Like she was naive in part 1.
Yes.
Right? She was
very
a kid,
much so.
Kind of just going about her life, and she experienced shit, so she was kind of messed up by it.
Yes.
But still, like she was still a kid. But like, yo, grown up Ellie in that world and what happens to her and what happens in the game, it's like it's just
insane.
It's so crazy. And like I truly hate when games go over the same shit. But like you already know, I told you, you get to a certain point and then you basically start the whole game over just from the other perspective. And in the beginning, you hate the fact that that's happening. But then as you keep playing, you fucking switch in your mind.
Yeah.
And it just, oh my God, it's so good. I really think we should do that. We should just start next week. I would love to play that game, bro. Holy shit.
We may start the second game next week. So you have all week to catch up because the story in there, it's a big deal.
I agree.
So I think that you should check it out and you have some time to catch up.
Yeah.
Before the second
check
one
it out. It's
starts.
so good. Like if you haven't played it and you're not going to play it anytime in the future, dude, just watch the whole gameplay, the whole thing. The story is so worth it. You'll love it. It's so good.
100%.
So definitely worth playing. And I definitely think if you're down, I really let's just fucking start it, bro, because it's so good.
Well,
dude.
considering the fact of how they're doing the next season, there's no way that we're gonna go ahead and be able to play it side by side.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Because they made it very clear that it's not going to be in that type of situation.
Yep.
So it makes no sense to wait. It's kind of like you either got to watch the show and then, but the problem with the show is that they're going to break it up into different seasons. So the best thing to do is just play the game and then kind of see
you'll just
what
know
they're going
what
to
it
do
is.
with the show. Yeah.
And if you remember it, then we can talk about it.
Yeah, as we go. But the game, it was just, and overall, for me, we did a ranking because Shintaro, aside from, we did the gameplay, we watched the show, and then we will do him and a mic, and we will talk about the game in the show and kind of compare both and get really deep into what we felt and what we thought. So towards the end, we voted for the episodes and the chapters of the game to see what took it for us, what won it, where was They're more story, what we felt more connected to.
Yeah.
And for me, the game won it. And it's a video game.
It did.
All right? It's a video game. And they were able to give me that a lot more than watching it on a show. So yeah, it's an awesome game. One of the best games I've ever played.
I agree. 100%. 100%.
Wait, Doodle, is it better than Animal Crossing? New Horizons?
Why you got to do me like that, Madman? Well, listen, when it comes to captivating and feeling like what's next, like sitting at the edge of your seat, like feeling like you want to, cry for these characters or this shouldn't happen. Obviously, The Last of Us. But when it comes to like a light, fun, everyday game, Animal Crossing.
But then again, there's no great suspense in wondering whether Tom Nook's going to repossess your home or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. You know what's crazy? So tonight we're supposed to be doing the other PlayStation game, right? So
which one?
So instead of doing an extended play tonight, we're going to do another Doodles Never Have I Ever, but we're going to do we did Uncharted, and now we're going to do Days Gone. Remember Days Gone?
Yes, I do remember.
It didn't get like shit reviews.
No, it's really good. But it's different. It's really different. But I'm interested because that is so Last of Us killed Days Gone.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Last of Us came out, took all the oxygen in the room, and then by the time Days Gone came out, it was always going to be looked at as the second fiddle of Last of Us. I mean, it's the one where, you got motorcycle. You had to settle for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though I enjoyed it, but I didn't beat it. I didn't go too far in it. But
so
I enjoyed
this is the thing: a better game came out, right? A more popular, the thing is, you have to really consider the fact, and it goes right back to like Horizon, right? It came out at a time where you couldn't appreciate it.
Yep.
And honestly, neither could I, because and obviously they've fixed a lot of glitches and they've had time.
All of it.
Yeah, this is like a Redfall situation, in my opinion, where they did patch things up. It wasn't what it was expected to be, even though everybody ate it up or whatever, or most people did. But it came out at a time where there was too much good happening. And now we can see the game and appreciate it with the patches that they've done and appreciate it for what it is. And it's like, oh, okay, well, this is a good game. This is a great game.
So that's when Days Gone was coming out. There was another zombie game coming around like right around the same time called DayZ, and it just got confused with one another.
Oh, well, that was like a shooter game. They didn't really have any relation. Where this is a story game like The Last of Us.
The story is not
as good, and that's the problem. But I'm really intrigued to see how you feel about it, being that you did love The Last of Us so much. Like you're like the litmus test for that game. Like, did it get its fair shake, or was it robbed because of The Last of Us? You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll be the deciding factor for that, because you will let us know if you dig it like you dig, The Last of Us. Like, the way we'll know is if you're like, you know what, I want to keep playing this. Like you wanted to keep playing The Last of Us.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm excited to see how that goes. But the topic itself was factions being delayed.
Oh, okay.
Multiplayer game. But now this is the thing. What was interesting about that message that I read, and I don't know if you guys picked it up, but if you remember last time I told you guys that they actually took out the idea of The Last of Us from factions. Okay, so they were going to make it its own multiplayer game, not necessarily linked to The Last of Us. But when you read what he said, what they said in the tweet, they said that you have been looking forward to hearing more about our The Last of Us multiplayer game.
Ooh. So it's still Last of Us.
And it's not even the factions. Why they didn't call it factions?
Oh.
Why not say The Last of Us factions?
Agreed.
They dropped the name factions, right? So I think they're retooling it. I think this is what I think. I think they were going to make a separate game that wasn't The Last of Us. And Sony was like, are you fucking stupid?
Cracked out?
Why are we going to release a multiplayer game that has no cachet and drop The Last of Us? No.
Were you the bear in the cocaine bear?
I think so.
I don't think you were. So get back to The Last of Us, bro.
I swear, I think that's literally what they were thinking. They were like, dude, like you're not going to make a game that's not called The Last of Us when the first game is The Last of Us Factions and people love that shit and they're all waiting for it. You're going to confuse everybody and people are going to be like, that's not The Last of Us.
Wait, question.
You got to use the name.
What do you mean the first game?
When the original Last of Us came out,
It was called Factions,
Part
multiplayer?
there was a multiplayer mode.
Oh, I was aware of that.
And it's called Factions. That was the multiplayer mode.
Oh.
So in the menu, you go down to multiplayer and you play Factions. That's what people were pissed that the remake
didn't
did not have
multiplayer.
Factions. They didn't have the multiplayer
That's what made the game
included.
totally devalued.
Yeah,
Especially
so people got
charge
pissed.
more, you have less.
Yeah, people got pissed about that. So, but they were like, oh no, don't worry. We're making a standalone multiplayer game that's going to be its own thing in the Factions vein. And it's going to be called Factions, not Last of Us Factions or whatever.
Oh, so it's going to be Factions, but it had nothing to do with Last of Us.
Yeah, but now
That's kind of stupid.
when you read the tweet, they drop it. They don't say Factions, and they went back to the Last of Us multiplayer mode.
Oh my god, watch it literally be called Last of Us multiplayer mode coming out this August.
Multiplayer mode or game? No, multiplayer game. So it's still going to be a separate game, but it's going to be The Last of Us,
blah blah blah,
something. You know,
The Last
whatever
of
it
Us,
is.
but with other people.
There's more of us. It's
More
going to
of
be called.
us.
More of us.
Oh my god.
Psych.
Psych. No, but that's yeah, so I don't know. I think I find that interesting that they dropped the last Factions. They dropped the name Factions and they brought back the Last of Us name in the game.
Nice.
So
Good for
that is our Last of Us talk. I think we had a good time with that.
Yep.
I am gonna go ahead and this is like not a topic, but just a little kind of snippet
Like a wow.
of information that was just mentioned. And it has to do with the new Zelda.
Ooh.
So if you remember, I don't know, last year
Yeah,
or the year
it was
before
announced
that.
like 2019.
Yeah, they announced that the game came out and they had an internal delay last year. I guess it was supposed to come out last year. And then it got delayed, right? So the producer of the game,
basically
or
the director or producer of the whole Zelda franchise, Eiji Aonuma,
yes,
he had a very important announcement. Well, not announcement, but he talked about why the delay happened, despite the game being basically
and
complete.
the reason why this is important to talk about is literally because of what's been going on,
And the
right?
impact
So we've had Redfall, which although a good game, had a lot of problems, bugs, not
Doesn't
polished the
look the
way it should have
greatest.
been. You have the Jedi Fallen Order that had the PC port and the games that had a lot of bugs, had a lot of issues that people were upset about. So just in general, we've been getting hit with a lot of games that are not polished and people are like, oh, we'll fix it later.
Yeah.
So obviously Nintendo has their own standards that they kind of follow. And they announced, or they said that delay in March 2022, at that point, the game was essentially done. So they literally took a whole nother year and change to just polish, make sure the physics worked, that make sure everything just worked the way it was supposed to work.
That's why there's pretty much no bugs really in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's
product.
just such a polished game.
You see, that's where Nintendo makes up for their lack of graphics. They polish to beyond. And, even like Nintendo themselves have been pretty guilty. A lot of their Mario sports games and Switch sports were kind of shit shows because they had barely content. And it was clear that there wasn't much love put into it. Zelda, they know that this is a humongous game and that they're going to put all the gosh darn love they can into this game. It's their little boy and they want it to be all dressed up and nice when it came out to the public. So,
Oh, that's cute.
they tried really
That's
hard.
so cute. I agreed. They couldn't have dropped the ball on this one. They went all in. They went hard. They made a system for it. They made a collector's edition for it. They freaking went ahead and is this their first game that's higher price?
Oh, $70 game. That's
Yeah,
This is
it was
their
their
first
$70
$70
game.
And
game.
for God's sake, it was worth
Okay,
it.
they made it was, and they made the amiibos for it. They brought out new controllers for it. They brought back the old amiibos because you can scan them into this game as well. You can't do all that and then be like, oopsies. Sorry guys.
Like, this was an enormous game. It was Breath of the Wild was like so big that in the beginning of its lifetime, it outsold the Switch itself.
Yep.
Other than the fact, of course, it was a Wii U version, but considering that barely anyone bought that version, it's still wildly impressive. And the fact that Breath of the Wild ended up selling more than even Mario Odyssey, it's kind of like, bro, like this wasn't some joke. This was a big deal.
I agree, 100%.
So,
see, Money's flirting with me, you guys.
Oh,
listen,
he's over here flirting.
She's hot, bro.
He's flirting. He's digging my hair.
Listen, don't get me excited over here.
Hey, yo, what?
So yeah, that is just a little piece. I don't want to go too deep on this because it's just kind of reflecting on the fact that we've been getting these buggy ass games and shit, whereas now we're not. You know, like Zelda did not.
And we shouldn't. We don't deserve that crap.
Of course. And you know what? I got to say this too. Like, everybody's been giving Xbox shit, right? They always give them shit. And one of the things they're giving them shit about is these games that still haven't released, right? But
they're not out yet, guys.
Yo, you don't think that Phil Spencer could have said, you know what? It's time, bro. We ain't got no game this year. Just finish it by the end of the year.
But that's the thing. And let me tell you something. We don't go to the stores or we don't go and start downloading the games and we're like, listen, I only got $30, but I'll get you later. Right? So don't deliver us a game and be like, yeah, but we'll fix the rest. Okay.
Exactly.
So I can appreciate the fact that these games are being held and finished because we'll be up in arms if they're not right, if they're not done.
Yep.
Like, and again, let's go back. You don't have the full amount for the money. You're not going to get half the game or get the game and then pay back later. I don't want a half-ass game. I want a completed game. I'm paying full price for it. So when I get the game, I want it right. I don't want to be one of the people that get it on sale later on and they get the advantages of the fact that you guys patched up all the nonsense. I'm putting up my money up front. I'm getting it when it first comes out. And I want it to be at its best.
Absolutely.
That's it.
And I feel like, honestly, I feel like that's what Xbox is doing. I feel like they realize that they can't afford to miss. And again, remember, Redfall was a Bethesda joint. Okay. That was already cooking before Xbox got involved. And they already admitted that they fucked up because they didn't get involved sooner with that game. Right. So I get that. But their first party shit from before, the games that we've been waiting for years, they are letting them cook. They are respecting the developers. One of the things that Matt Booty had an interview like a year ago or a couple years ago, and they asked him about like, you know, what games is he excited for? And like he was visibly giddy at the idea of what Fable is. And he's telling us like, I keep asking them, let us show this. This is amazing. Like people will go crazy for this.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's not ready.
Yeah.
So like they are respecting the fact that their developers, they're trusting the fact that the quality bar that their developers want to hit are attainable if given the right amount of time and resources. And the fact that Playground Games has never missed. Every single Forza Horizon has been a banger.
On point.
Every single one.
Yep.
They just get better and better. And every time people say, how can they make it better?
And they do.
They make it better.
They do. They find a way.
Every single time. That reveal for Forza Horizon 5, do you remember it when there was a picture of Mexico?
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, what a beautiful scene. Is this like, does it look like real footage? You know what I'm saying? It looked like it was a real video of Mexico. And then all of a sudden the car just zooms right into the screen and then the camera follows it. That's insane.
Agreed.
That they were able to do that. The fact that they know that their cachet as a developer is so tied to the quality level that they deliver. You got to imagine that internally, they're like, dude, we cannot put out this Fable game in anything other than the top, highest quality level possible. And I think it was them that said that they are looking to be at the quality level that a Naughty Dog is.
Yes.
Like they want to be Xbox's Naughty Dog.
Playground.
And this is the thing, like you got to remember, Xbox has some heavy hitters. You know, they have Coalition. People don't put respect on Gears like they should.
Really don't. Like
Gears,
after the first
during
three,
the
people stopped
360,
giving a shit.
people were losing their minds for Gears was Halo, bro. Like when Gears 3 came out, yo, I was in that midnight line. That was back in the day when you can go out and not worry about getting shot up. We were at the midnight release. Dude, the GameStop had a TV outside with multiplayer going, and we were all playing the game. Like they opened up a copy early and they just put it in, and we were just all playing right there with each other. Dang. Oh my God, it was so fun. People went crazy for Gears. And then
after the FS1 generation.
Well, remember, then Epic stopped making them. Epic was not going to make anymore, and they sold Gears of War to Microsoft.
So it's not theirs.
So Microsoft owns it, and then they put this other team, Coalition, and Coalition kind of had to make it unique, make it their own. And
people didn't like that.
Dude, we looked at 4 graphically. Remember, I had put it on the other day, and it was like, wow, look at how beautiful that is. And that was an Xbox One game. Their Coalition are wizards when it comes to graphics. They make such beautiful games. They just never dived into the deep storytelling role that Naughty Dog does. But in all other aspects, I mean, let's be real. Naughty Dog, like this game is not a shooter.
No.
Like you shoot guns.
It's an action adventure.
But it's an action adventure. It's not like Gears of War where it's a shooter. You know, you're taking cover, with precision, fighting and shooting people and killing people, right? Like they're very different games. If Coalition wanted to make a Naughty Dog type of game, they could because the storytelling in Gears is fire. It's really good. The performances are great. Everything is really good in Gears of War. It's just that that's not their focus. So who knows what their next game is? Who knows what focus they take?
Wait, I gotta ask. Did Epic make Judgment? Remember this, like that Gears of War Judgment?
No, that's People Can Fly. The people who made Outriders or Outsiders. Remember that game that came out?
I remember.
Not too long ago. Yeah, that was good. They made that game. And Bulletstorm.
Oh, I know Bulletstorm. That's the one to keep re-releasing over and over.
Yeah, they released it a bunch of times. That is, they made that game as well. Judgment was pretty good. I didn't play it, but people liked it. But yeah. So I think Xbox is going to do it.
I think so too.
I believe. I believe.
Because
now,
I'm a believer.
I want to switch gears.
Just make a fucking Shrek game on Xbox only.
Oh my God, they did.
They did the original one.
Meaning a new one. A new one with awesome graphics. Shrek
if they made a game about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, I wouldn't mind that. I'm not gonna lie.
Right? That was such a good movie. I wasn't expecting it.
It was a really good movie. So let's hop into our boys over in Spiderverse.
Yes. Because Miles Morales is officially in Fortnite.
Yes, he is.
Yes, baby.
And he didn't come alone. He came with Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara. And things get pretty spicy.
All right, guys. I feel like we're doing an injustice.
That's a good
by
game.
not playing
Fortnite
with Miles.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
All right?
And this is supposedly a big deal because this is apparently the first time that 3 mythic items from 3 different franchises are on the map at one time. You have the lightsabers from Star Wars, you have the ODM gear from Attack on Titan, and now the web slingers from Spider-Man are around the map. And people are losing their shit because, like, literally, it's like a fever dream of a video game at this point. So it's pretty wild.
It's so dope. I cannot wait to play. So I logged in.
I am excited that Miles is in Fortnite. And the reason why is because my madman over here freaking loves the movies.
And he just looks really dope.
And he looks really cool.
And he's the only one who can give Master Chief work dancing.
Yeah.
Hey, yo.
Hey. In the game, have you seen me do the moves?
Oh, I've seen you.
You guys, come on.
That's next level.
Let's keep it real. All right? Let's keep it real. I think maybe a little bit better than Master Chief. I can pull this off.
Well, you could, yes. Not Miles.
All right.
So Miles, we logged in. We bought him, and we danced with him for a while.
We danced for a while
in the menu,
and
then we got off.
Yeah.
But, so he does pretty good. He
He got
looks
the
good when
moves,
he's dancing,
guys.
so that's cool. That's how we rate the skins, by the way, guys.
By dancing levels.
If they look good when they dance, then they pass. If they look stupid, it's like not a good skin.
Go take several seats. You ain't about this life. You got to move right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to move right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Y'all
I mean,
gotta
Master
have that
Chief
flair.
still holds the crown.
Yeah, he does.
Nobody dances better
He
than him.
does.
But Miles gives him
Listen,
work.
this is a new upcoming. We didn't try every single dance yet. And listen, even if he is as good, Master Chief is the OG.
That's right. He
Just
is the
say,
OG. Put
mic
some
drop.
respect on the
Boom.
name.
I'm sorry. OG. Spider-Man's been around since the 60s.
No.
I mean, in
OG
the dance,
dancer.
in the dance,
OG
like
dancer.
in Fortnite, dancing like that. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Respect.
There's also a note here. I guess there's been some talk about some reactions to the movie.
So critical reviews from critics
Ooh.
have actually been already published that you can
So
look
there's a
up right now.
Metacritic for Spider-Verse?
I don't think there's a Metacritic right now. I would have to double check that. But for sure, you can go on like Variety or Forbes or New York Times, and there are reviews already up.
When does the movie come out?
And, June 2nd. Everyone who has seen it is absolutely losing their mind. One review said it was an actual work of art, claiming that any frame of the movie can literally be hung in a museum because of how much detail and how much beauty is poured into every second. It's so ridiculous. It's the longest Western movie, animated movie of all time, over 2 hours, well over. And they said it does not even feel its length. Like it's a fantastic movie. Someone was saying how it was darker and sadder than they ever expected. They kind of like Zelda, they did the impossible by raising the bar from what seemed like a perfect movie and somehow made the first one feel inferior in every way. And everyone's absolutely blown away by it.
Now, are they reviews or just first reactions?
Some of them were for sure. There were a few people who got to see it who were like, "Oh my god, I got to see Across the Spiderverse, and it was something insane," and some shit like that. But like, there were professional reviews and stuff like that. So one said it is a degree above a masterpiece or some shit. And I'm like,
all right. Okay. Well, that's a little hyperbolic, I would say. It's still a freaking cartoon movie.
Well, cartoons could have depth, you know.
I didn't say they can. I'm saying that let's not call it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too, like, you can go too far with describing something. Like, it's not going to compare to the best movies that in existence. It's Spider-Man.
Okay. Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's realize that there's going to be a cap that a superhero cartoon
that's fair. Like,
be.
You can compare Spider-Verse to any other comic book movie, and it's not like it's a cartoon. A lot of people think James Gunn said it was his favorite comic book movie, period. So, you know. But yeah, I guess I could see what you're saying.
It goes right into the box of like favorite period.
I mean,
like,
it's pretty unanimous.
It's so difficult to have like a favorite movie, right? There's so many different types of movies.
Yeah, it's very,
you know, so it's like the movie
so.
is a great movie. They're loving the graphics. They're loving, I guess, I'm assuming they love the story, right?
The story is also
the animation, yes.
Has an amazing story. So especially Gwen, a lot of people saying Gwen was surprisingly how well she was acted. Like, it felt like an actual like actor sort of thing.
Can I ask you, Doodle?
Of course. So ask away.
So we had our first reactions to the trailer and talking about this stuff was very strong in the
dislike category,
opposite direction.
I was very underwhelmed.
Very underwhelmed. But also not because of what we saw, but more so what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently had this discussion at the office.
Huh. With your friend?
With my employee. And we were talking. And he feels very similar to you, Madman, about the movie. Like, he's defends it every which way, right? And, you know, I gotta be honest with you. I saw the trailer. I thought it was cool. But the feeling that I get is I still feel like they don't have faith in Miles Morales. So they fill the screen with everybody else around him.
I've said this from the beginning.
And that annoys me.
It annoys me. It's frustrating. It's what it is because everybody's eating it up.
Yeah, because they're feeding into the geekdom that exists for Spider-Man, where they're like, oh my God, every Spider-Man in existence is going to be in this movie.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so amazing.
The excitement of that idea, but in my opinion, you're all missing the bigger picture. First of all, when the movie was first coming out, the first movie, I'm like, why are they not making a real life Miles Morales?
Facts.
That was my first freaking problem. Like, if everybody else can get it, like, we've had 3 now, right?
Yep. No, 3. We've had 9.
Yes,
no,
I'm sorry.
8.
We've had
I meant the different phases,
like Tom
right?
Holland,
3 different phases.
Yes.
We've had 8 Spider-Man movies telling the origin stories.
The same thing over and over,
I mean,
you guys.
Fair, you could argue that Spider-Verse was better than all of them because they did something different.
It wasn't.
No.
It was not.
The point is,
rank it as
may I finish my thought?
Sorry.
Okay, so my point is, we have a Puerto Rican and African-American Spider-Man.
Yep.
And we can't give him a freaking a real life movie.
Paige, take care.
Have a great day, Paige.
See ya, Paige.
Like, that's a load of crap. That alone annoys the existence out of me. Now, on top of them making it an animated movie, they added Peter Parker was there.
Yep.
They added a bunch of other versions. Like, what are we doing?
It's based on an actual comic storyline, Spiderverse, and it's still Spiderverse. You can't have it only be Miles and call it Spiderverse. It would have to be just Spider-Man or a different name.
Again, the lack of feeling that Miles can hold his own.
Yep.
Well, this movie kind of defies all that because the whole thing is that it's like Gwen takes Miles into the broader Spider-Verse to stop the Spot, which is like the major villain and shit. And it's like there's a Spider Society. And all the Spider-Man have the same backstory. Uncle Ben died, and they have the great power comes great responsibility. And Miles has an origin story, nothing like that. And that kind of caused all the spiders to kind of turn against him and stuff like that. And the whole point is that Miles is his own hero and doesn't have to be like every other Spider-Man that exists.
Except that if that was the case, they should have made the movie where he was his own hero and he didn't need the other Spider-Mans to exist to make it a viable movie. Like, that's the thing. I don't care the storyline that exists in the comics. Okay, that doesn't matter to me because this movie is not going to reach out. Those comics were
made long ago. We live in a different world.
These movies are going to be watched by way more people who have no idea a shit about the comic at all.
Exactly.
And is only watched by people who are saying, oh, Spider-Man, I know what that is. Okay, cool. I'll watch it. All right. That's the vast majority. Just like a video game, right? We talk about the hardcore video game people. We're so small in comparison to the amount of people who did it. You think that if this movie does $500 million, that's $500 million worth of nerds who watch the comic? No, it's kids with their families saying, oh, Spider-Man, that's cool. They don't know shit about the comic.
Thank you.
So don't sit here and say, I have to follow the comic.
100%.
What you should have done is you should have made a movie about Miles freaking Morales.
Just him. That's it.
Him. If his origin story required you to have a Peter Parker in it for a few moments in the beginning.
Or shift it. It could be fixed. It could be changed. Peter Parker didn't need anybody else over there,
or just
right?
have him reference it. We don't have to see Peter Parker in there. Just have Miles Morales reference how it happened and telling somebody else, and then that's it. Focus on what's going forward.
Exactly.
It's just relying on these other things. It's just disrespecting the character, and it disrespects the world that we live in today.
The world we live in today.
Where we want representation.
We want representation. We don't want them to find 3 different white Caucasian Spider-Mans and go ahead and give them a freaking face, right? Not an animation. Give them a face, okay? Present him as a freaking superhero when we have Miles.
Actually, Miles has zero, like the video game, sure, but it's still CGI. It's still a video game. There's no live action.
Dude, the best representation of Miles has been the video game.
Yes.
Having him walk around in where he in Brooklyn,
in the city, the music, the
or
flag,
the Bronx,
the
or
Puerto
whatever it
Rican
is.
flag,
Puerto
nice
Rican
and big
flag,
over
you get
there.
to see his
He's
background.
speaking Spanish.
His mother's in it,
Heck
speaking
yeah.
Spanish. Like, that's
Very in
fucking
the Puerto
dope.
Rican side, like
Well, his father died, right?
Yeah, he's died. It makes sense.
So then he's left in the Spanish culture. So. And that's the other part. They don't even want to recognize the Spanish culture in the other part.
Yes.
Like he's just a black Spider-Man. It's like, bro, he's half.
That's another thing.
He's half and half, and his father passed. So
they don't want to recognize that he's
his
Puerto
dad's
Rican.
still alive in the movie, so that makes.
They don't acknowledge. He's just looked at as if he's black. He's Puerto Rican too. I just feel like we need to fairly race every culture, right? That is out there.
Yeah,
well,
it's nonsense.
Spider 2099, who is a big part of this movie and is one of the main Spider-Man this time around, and who was with him in Fortnite, he's all Puerto Rican. He's a Hispanic Spider-Man. He's not even a Parker. He's Miguel O'Hara, a different character, like Miles.
Yeah, but he's a different character altogether, which is fine. And then if he deserves his own movie, then maybe you should have it and not have him be a side piece to Miles, right? But Santaro, we actually did Doodles Never Have I Ever on Miles Morales that you could check out. It's really good. We loved it. I beat it.
Yeah. Beautiful game.
Yeah, I beat it too. It's a great game.
Yeah, very, very good game.
You could argue it's better than the first Spider-Man.
It was better than the first one, for sure.
100%.
And also Gwen, even though she is white, she's a female Spider-Man, and there's never been a movie about a female Spider-Man.
But she should have, but that's also a disrespect to her. This is not her movie.
She's a side piece to Miles, and that's where the void never ends.
But she shouldn't be a side. She should have her own movie. What do we got to do? Bunch up the minorities together and then bring in a white person to race it up, or two in this? They brought her in, and they brought the Peter Parker too. Like, no, guys.
My understanding is Miles Morales is the bigger character than these other characters.
Oh, of course, he's probably, other than Peter Parker, he's the biggest Spider-Man.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So Miles Morales is big enough to deserve his own game. It makes sense to have the girl be a side piece to him because she's a lesser known character. So this is a great way to put her in the spotlight.
To start her up, but she was not the only person. She was not the only one in there.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
But this should not have been the way. Like, he should have had his
own introduction, his own movie.
Only his world, not multiverse, anything. Just where Miles Morales is, where he lives, where his come up. Without anybody having to do with it.
The music, everything should be incorporated.
Can you imagine how great a movie would have been?
That's what makes him special. The culture, the movie.
Yep.
That's what makes him beautiful. His features. That's what makes him different. Exactly. And I listened to this, and we need to raise up and appreciate the differences, because that's what makes us special, right? So instead of downplaying it or bringing in what it's the normal, we should raise up and appreciate the differences that makes us special. And that's what we need to focus on. And that's the example we need to give the young generation, the young kids, the people coming up to love themselves.
Of course, and that's what Miles stands for. He's like, they focus mainly on his black side.
Now when you contradicted the way that they did.
It's not
animated movie. He's not on his own doing his thing like the other Spider-Mans were. The problem is that's a contradiction, man.
I feel like that, like, I think that would be really cool. It's like, but Spider-Verse was like, so it was practically perfection. Like, I don't know how you could have, like, made it different. Like, it was perfect the way it was. There was no reason to, like, you can't just change it. So instead of hating on it so much for having that, he was obviously the protagonist. They didn't be like, oh, Peter Parker took up 90% of the time and Miles was at the end. He was there the entire time.
But that's for the people. That's for the people who are okay sitting down watching a cartoon.
I mean, you act like that because it's animated. It's lesser than. But you said yourself that you thought the first one was great.
But
it was great, Madman. The music was great. But don't you think
there are a subset of people who are not going to go watch a cartoon movie, no matter what you do, no matter how good it is. They don't care. They don't care.
But
there's a reason why. Let me ask you a question. The highest grossing animated movie is Frozen.
1.6 billion.
What? I thought it was Frozen 2. It's 1.475.
I effed up. Sorry.
Okay. And what's the actual highest grossing movie?
Avatar at 2 billion or 2 something billion.
Okay. So do you understand? There's a difference between things that look real And obviously,
It
most
was
of Avatar
Titanic
is
too, by the way.
yeah, the Titanic is up
CGI.
there, but most of it is CGI. But it still has real people in it, and it's made to look real. It's not cartoon based, right? You don't go to Avatar saying, "I just watched this animated movie." You know what I'm saying? Nobody says that when they leave out of Avatar. They watched an actual real movie.
Mhm.
That's what they saw. They don't look at it any other way. Again, as much as the people who are in and especially the young people like you, which is fine that you feel this way, right? Yes, the cartoon movies, they're fine. They could be great. They could be cool. I love Frozen, right? Like, I'm not saying that animated is bad, but what I'm saying is when you're talking about superhero movies where every single superhero has gotten their own live action movie. No one made a Captain America cartoon to introduce Steve Rogers to the world.
Mhm.
He was played by a human.
Yep.
They went through all the energy to figure out how to make these superheroes come to life in the way that would be unique and exciting for the audience.
And you can't make
And they
Miles
could
come to
not-
life.
And did not want to do that
guess that's
for
fair.
Miles
I mean,
Morales.
they-
And that's the problem. If they would have given him his own movie, they could have made a side animated version of it or a side animated movie to do it. Great.
As well,
But
yes,
they
that
needed
movie
to
should
introduce
exist.
him
It was
as
a good movie, but
as a
they
human.
needed. He deserves his own thing, and again, it needs to be based on who he is, the music, the culture,
And I think-
everything,
and if-
both sides need to be acknowledged.
It's fair that you say that. Like, even Blue Beetle's getting a live action movie about him, and it's like, who the fuck is Blue Beetle?
Exactly, bro.
Exactly. Thank
Exactly.
you. Thank
Exactly.
you. That's all.
Yep. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, into Spiderverse. I think another big deal is that it forced animation to change because it was in that point where anime movies were getting boring because it all looked like Disney or Pixar and whatever they were doing, everyone was doing. Spider-Verse changed that completely, and they showed that art styles that were not the same shit would be appealing to people, and people watched it, and it got massive acclaim, Oscar-winning. It was a huge deal. And so, anime movies, you see a lot more examples, like The Bad Guys or Puss in the Boots, or even Arkane.
So, but
obviously, Madman, I
fair.
understand. Madman, you're super into animation. It's something that you want to do.
I think it's just important to me that
it's important. I
they
understand.
can be side by side. Like,
but the problem is that they can't.
Of course, there are people that will never look at it that way.
That's what I'm saying. They can't be. They're always going to be a cartoon until they make it where it looks like Avatar, where it's believable as a regular movie. It's always going to be a cartoon, and no matter what, there's always going to be grown people who don't want to watch a cartoon, and that's just the way it works. So, and again, I'm not downplaying animation. I love animated movies, so I'm not going at it, but I'm talking about the fact that the respect that was not shown is bullshit. That it should have. If you're introducing a new superhero, just like every other freaking superhero that we didn't know, they're all real live action movies. You should have
100%.
brought Miles Morales. Look at what they did for Spider-Man, right? The last Spider-Man that they came out with.
Home, all three.
Yeah, but where did they put him before he had his own movie?
Captain America, Civil War.
They brought him into Civil War. Why couldn't you bring in Miles Morales?
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't you make Miles Morales come out
Exactly.
and be like, who's that Spider-Man? Oh, well, this is who he is, right? But they don't want to, right? Because they want to focus on regular Spider-Man.
Yep.
Great. Okay. But give Miles Morales. Why couldn't Miles Morales be in one of Spider-Man's movies?
Right?
That's the thing. There's a rumor that the fourth MCU entry is going to have at least introduced Miles.
But it's too late now. Fine. You're going to do it afterwards. Because why? Because
Miles'
it's popular.
was even
And that's the bullshit. Instead of taking a chance on him, just like they take chances on all these other stupid ass fucking characters.
Agreed. 1,000%.
Like Iron Man, the Avengers, it's weird because they're the biggest heroes in the world, but for a while there, they were B tier characters that no one cared about. Like X-Men and Fantastic Four were the big boys and stuff like that.
Yeah. So if you can make those all live action, and again, let's not act like live action heroes just came out of nowhere. They've been live action superhero movies for a long time. So nobody's ever wanted to make a Miles Morales one. Now that they make the cartoon, they're like, oh, snap, people actually might like him. And now the video game is so popular. Oh, snap, people might like him. There's so much so that they're putting in the second game is both of them, right? How is it that we could not get it. It's
But
just
this
a slap in
the
the
fact that he
face.
became so popular and so short. Like, he came out in 2011 with this comic, The Ultimate Spider-Man. And then after 2011, it took only 7 years for him to be included in a major video game and his stars in his own movie. They might not have been live action, but he was still very young at that point. So he definitely undoubtedly the fastest growing superhero, even if he's a variation of
I'm going to leave it
Spider-Man.
at this. And this is what I'm going to say. And this should, anybody who doesn't agree with what we're saying should take a moment to think about what I'm going to say. And this is the world we live in, where a movie, Miles Morales, even as a fake character, has to
As a
prove
spider.
himself.
Spider-Man.
Has to prove himself. All right? In an
Before.
animation movie with a bunch of other Spider-Mans in it, in the game, before they even think or consider bringing him into a big screen, played by an actual
human.
actor, bringing the Black and
Because he's
Hispanic
brown.
culture into the front, right?
Yeah.
There we go. That's the world we live in.
It is 100%.
And
Shintaro
that just
agrees.
confirms it.
Yep, 100%.
I guess. But I'm still very excited for this one.
And that's the thing. You can't make people understand.
And no, I understand it, but
the
I'm not going to be
point
like,
of
well,
view-
then fuck Across the Spider-Verse.
No,
There's way.
I didn't
Like, I'm
say
still
that,
hyped.
but it should be very eye-opening that if this is just a character, the difference just in the everyday life between people. So we can't turn a blind eye to that and how much we have to maybe deal with or prove ourselves to get the same type of recognition that maybe others get just for the heck of it.
That's true. And hey, a big chunk of the reviews were saying that it's the best Spider-Man by far. Like, it's not even like competition. They did so much and added so much emotion that it's another tier of Spider-Man. And honestly, by how phenomenal the first Spider-Verse was, it's believable. I think it could be the best Spider-Man.
I mean, I would have to see it to believe it, because I'm sorry,
I mean, where does Spider-Verse rank for
can't-
you in the other Spider-Man?
dude, the Spider-Verse doesn't make me feel more than the moment that Andrew Garfield dropped Gwen
Andrew
Stacy
Garfield?
and she died.
I feel like, okay, Spider-Verse was
That
better than
moment-
the Amazing Spider-Man.
But again, I'm not. The moment the cartoon can't make me feel
That
what
moment,
I saw
yeah.
when he fucking dropped her and she died. You can't capture that emotion in the face. You
Listen,
can't
there
capture
has
that
to
feeling.
be.
It will never do it. It's a cartoon, bro. You could feel sad. Don't get me wrong. Again, you can see the stuff.
I mean,
But if Frozen was made live action to begin with, right?
Oh
if
my
that movie
gosh,
was a
yeah.
live action movie to begin with and it was never a cartoon, and that moment when Hans leaned over
Oh my gosh,
and
yeah.
said it, and if you had the ability to see both side to side, the cartoon versus the real life version, and see the pain in Anna's real face versus the cartoon face, you
Of
cannot
course.
capture that. We're not there yet.
As a
We're
human,
not there yet.
right?
I mean,
As a human, you can connect to the expression of another human, right? So that's the easier way, I guess, to understand it. However, like, it has to be that much better. It has to be that much more for an animated movie to make you feel anything close to what, a real live action movie would make you
well, like,
feel.
look at like the Lion King.
Real quick, let me just finish my thought.
Yeah.
There are movies that bring you that type of feeling inside. Like, for me, Weathering with You, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, but they
There are
have to
examples of
be
powerful animation.
yes, but it will always be that it could be that much more impactful and powerful if if you're watching another human going through it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, obviously,
I think just because it benefits, the curses would probably look really weird.
it's
in
just
live action.
there's certain types of
Like
movies
Panda would
that
probably look really weird in live action.
that animation is going to excel at, that real life.
Like,
Live
when
action
you-
is harder to do right now.
Like,
That
when
doesn't
you
mean it's not, because
defy-
when you see Avatar Part 2, you realize, oh shit, they probably could make it look just as good, if not
Right.
better, if they put the actual energy into it. It's just that, anime is its own little breed, and that really doesn't translate well to live action.
That's why if you watch many live action adaptations, they're usually pretty shit. Like, I feel like if you defy what's really possible in animation, it's easier to get away with it in live action because you'll have questions. Like, if you see someone double jump somehow in an animated movie, it's like, okay, that's part of their world. If you do it in live action, it's like, how the fuck could you do that?
I agree with that 100%. It's much more limited.
Yep.
Than unrealistic.
And that's something that animation will achieve. Like, you see, there's different things.
So are there ups and downs?
Yeah, of course. It's just that the most powerful real life movies compared to the most powerful animated movies, there's no comparison.
But again, because guess what? Those double jumps are not real,
exactly.
Right? So I could jump, but I can't double jump, right?
I could barely jump.
So you can, right? So you can't connect
Nobody's dunking over here.
to the idea of freaking double jumping when you know you can't do it. Like, real quick, let me just jump in here, see money. Shintaro wants to know if you had a he's laughing. If you had a chance to check out the King of Fighters characters that he put up on Discord.
I did not get a chance to yet, but once this is all done, I'll check it out for sure. I'll let you know when I see it on Discord.
One more thing. I had an example clear in my mind, but The Lion King. Like, obviously, I like the remake a lot and stuff like that. But Mufasa's death, it's very, like, you could tell. Like, in the live action one, obviously, you get it. It's sad enough. He falls, stuff like that. But if you watch the anime one, you could tell in the Simba's expression that they put so much detail. Like, you could tell he's fucking destroyed.
Let's be clear. We're talking about animals. We're talking about animals here. Right? Yeah. So in the cartoon, they made the animals have human emotions, reactions and emotions. In real life, animals can only make a sound that will implement it and make you feel like, oh, wow, it's in pain. Yes. But the face doesn't grimace the same way a human's face does, right? So, of course, you can't compare those two things because Lion King, the one that they made, knew they were going for a realistic look of an animal, and animals don't make those faces, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the difference between humans and a cartoon is that so far they haven't been able to get that human emotion perfected in video games, in animated movies. It's just not there yet. Doesn't mean you can't approximate it. It doesn't mean that if you're watching an animated movie, you can't be like, I fill in the gaps of what the feeling is. So my mind can make me see that's what is being felt.
But you don't want to fill in the gaps.
But
sometimes
real life can't be compared. I mean, that's just the reality of it until they can. And that's what I'm hoping video games eventually do is get there graphically. And I feel like movies can also get there graphically. They just need to keep pushing the boundaries to make that happen.
I think Pixar's the closest to doing that. Like, I don't know what it is. I think for me in animation, like, I could see animation and live action in the same light. Watch, like, something like Coco or even, like, Up or something, and now that's an emotional fucking ride. Like, it'll probably make you fucking cry.
But again, it does. But again, you put it in live action and do it the right way, and there's no comparison.
You'll have doodles and tears.
It's just, we have too many years of it. So, all right. We're going to wrap up with this last topic. It's a dual topic. It's about Attack on Titan and Hell's Paradise. Madman, I'm going to let you go ahead and take that.
Okay. So, there was a Mappa Sage show a little while back, and it amounted to a big old heap of nothing. But there were a couple things, and one of those things was the final key visual for Attack on Titan, the final season, the final chapters, part 2. The true final episode. And its implication is pretty upsetting and dark, but it depicts, I don't remember if it's the cabin that Mikasa lived as a child or was the one she was kidnapped in, but I'm pretty sure it's the one she was kidnapped in, but it depicts that cabin where she grew up and stuff like that. And it has the text, "Goodbye, Eren," on the side. And speaking that the episode before depicted them about to fight Eren as a Titan, I think it's implying that Mikasa's gonna kill Eren. That would be really fucking dark, but yeah, I think it's gonna be her. And to think that this show went on for so long and it's finally ending is pretty insane. So that's pretty wild.
I get that. Now, how does that make you feel? Because I know that you are one to feel like things need to kind of come to an end and not pushing things. How do you feel about the fact that this is the last episode? It's only been, 4 seasons?
4 seasons in a span of 10 years.
And it's, I mean, they took their
They took
time
a
for
while.
sure. But like, we're talking about other, animes that have been around and have, a lot more seasons than that. So like, how do you feel about the fact that it's coming to an end, that it's taking them so long, and like, you're not going to see this show anymore?
I'm happy it's ending.
I don't
Like,
think Shintaro believes it's ending. FYI.
No, it's ending. I mean, the creator said that he might want to do a spin-off about one of the Levi and stuff like that, about kind of like his story. Whether it's before or in the middle of Attack on Titan is questionable. I don't think they could do it after, because the way they're ending it, it seems like it's kind of like a close for good. But I think that if they do it right, like I heard that there's a rumor that they're gonna do an anime-only ending, because supposedly the manga was kind of like everything was amazing, but he fucked up the ending really badly, and they kind of made it where it almost pissed people off. And there's a rumor that they're gonna try and take that ending and add their own stuff to it to make it feel whole and complete. So if they do that, I think that would probably be good. I don't want them to stretch it. Like the 3rd season could have ended it, but it was like a half-baked ending. And with the final season, they took 3 damn years, and it was really long. But they've poured everything into every episode, and I'm glad they took so long. And honestly, if it ends, I don't want it to continue. I think, like, other than like some bumpiness in the 3rd season, it's been pretty perfect storytelling-wise, and they've done so much. It's crazy. And I think that if it ends, just let it end. Please don't try to resurrect it. Just let it end the way it ends.
I'm glad you enjoy the show so much, and I'm happy that they delivered the story the way that you wanted it to be, and that it had, and graphically also, because I know you appreciate them taking their time and kind of make it a little more crisp and better. So I'm glad that you got to like see this show throughout. But I do have to say that it would be really cool to have a spin-off if Mikasa is the one that has to take him out, and to see where her story goes. I would love to see that, because I feel like she was always like in his shadow. Like his mother, when she died, said to look out for him, to take care of him. He was always so wild, and she kind of kept him in check, and she wanted Mikasa to go ahead and look out for him in that way. And she took that really seriously. Like, no matter what he did, she kind of went ahead and always had his back, always looked after him. So for her to be the one to like have to do something like that, like, I feel like it would be really cool to see how she deals with that afterwards, and how her life continues.
I mean, that's what the final season is largely about for her character arc. It's about trying to break away from him, because she just can't do it. She's so emotionally attached.
Yeah.
And it's not even about the mom. She just fucking loves him. And
but loves him how?
Even
like
before she died. That's where I kind of thought it was, but the creator said that she has kind of like a little romantic feeling, and it's weird. They never really specify whether it's romantic or familial, but I generally don't know. But I think that whether it's love or romantic, it's definitely a passionate love, and yeah, it's hard to break. And I think that it would have to close a lot of arcs, like especially Levi's arc as well, who has a pretty strong one.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in season 3, one of the strong points was his character arc was fleshed out from his pretty basic 1 and 2 one. So yeah, I think that it would have to do a lot. I would like, however, like in the books, they did make a prequel called Before the Fall. If they made like a movie out of that, like just like Zero, that could be pretty cool.
To fill in, that would be awesome.
Would be cool.
Yeah.
And I do hope that they have everything aligned if they are continuing anything. I don't think that, although it's great that they delivered it right, like taking so long, like they need to have dedicated like fundings and people to go ahead and work on it and have a more consistent delivery if they're going to pick up a new show. But that would be great to get a movie of that. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Final season is another level in animation. First 3 seasons, first one was okay looking. 2 and 3 look great, but
yeah,
the final season is like movie quality.
Because it took such a long period of time. I do appreciate how unique the graphics are overall. With that show, yes.
And it wasn't impacted by Chainsaw Man's budget, so that's good. They gave it the budget deserved, so that's nice. I don't know. I'm excited. It comes out later this year.
It's really
I'm looking
crazy
forward
to
to it.
see such different shows. Like, because they are responsible, right, for Chainsaw Man?
Yeah,
They're responsible for so many
Mappa, they did
shows.
So
Chainsaw
many,
Man.
yeah,
They also
so
did
it's
Kaisen.
like-
Hell's Paradise is one. Yuri on Ice.
Talk
God
about
of High School,
creativity,
a lot.
right?
Well, they're based on source material, but they're like the fact that they could do so much, it's pretty crazy, and to keep the animation consistent. But is contradicted by the next topic, which is about Hell's Paradise, which is a show that's been going on. It did not get the marketing, barely any marketing, honestly, because while the comic was acclaimed, it was not to the level of Chainsaw Man or even Jujutsu Kaisen's popularity, and they poured big budgets on them. And when Chainsaw Man, they put stupid money. I think I've explained this before. And a lot of shows were impacted. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 was a victim of it as well. The whole team literally left, and they had like a skeleton crew for Season 2 because Chainsaw Man was so demanding. Attack on Titan was left to do their own thing, and everything else, and Vinland Saga, but everything else was like affected badly. Hell's Paradise was horribly affected. The animation, I love the show itself. The story is strong, characters are strong. The animation is the weak point. Even like when I talk about My Hero, how I say the animation went shit with Season 6 and stuff like that, even that looks significantly better. Like, it does not look great. But however, the story is strong enough that it's good enough to keep watching. And they announced that they are delaying episode 9 because it got to a pretty rough level. Because episode 8, the animation was fine enough. But the last like little bit, you could tell they were hardcore cutting corners. Like, they were talking and the mouth was not moving in any way, but it was just the mouth moving.
Okay.
That's
yeah,
shit.
see,
Like the face was still, but the mouth was moving, and you could like, hey. Otherwise, it would have been an impactful moment. Actually.
So what's wrong? So are you saying Hell's Paradise is having this happen?
Yeah, it's like you could tell the animation's deteriorating. The budget, it just wasn't there.
But wasn't the first episode like the one that was like the most popular episode ever, or is that a different show?
That's like a Titan. It was the biggest show.
Ochi.
Ochi no Ko.
Yeah,
No,
that's
a whole different
that's a
thing.
brand new.
Oh,
But
that's
the
a different
animation
one.
has been top tier for that one. But it's sad. It deserves budget, but it doesn't have one. And it got so bad that they're delaying the 9th episode probably to polish it and to make it look
And they
better.
should. See, that's the thing. I don't believe in taking 10 years to do things, but if you're going to deliver it like this, you should not. And maybe this is time to start taking more money and spreading it around and get more people to work on the stuff. Maybe they're taking more than they can, biting more than they can
they
chew,
have 9
you know?
shows coming out this
So,
year,
yeah,
which is ridiculous.
that's a lot. And like, you need to then put more money into it and hire more people. Madman, I have a question real quick. I'm going to jump in here because Madman will have the answer for you, Paige, unless it was already answered.
What's Paige talking about?
Paige wants to know, will My Hero Academia come out with a season 7?
It's been confirmed. Literally, the season 6, the last episode comes out, maybe even a little bit before. They announced season 7 and a key art with a very hard sketch of Deku, and saying that season 7 is happening and stuff like that.
But that's it, right?
It should be. See, people are saying, like, manga are saying that if they try, they could stretch it to an 8th season. But if they keep it, they just make it, they could very well make season 7 the final season. The manga is already almost done. Supposedly it's ending this year.
Needless to say that Purple Berry is happy about season 7, but not
She's crushed.
not with the idea of it
ending.
being the last one. So she is pretty much, she's crushed
Which
about
I
that.
think My Hero needs to end. You could tell that they're, like, the story was very strong in the beginning, but you could tell that I feel like they effed up the villain arc super badly, and I think the characters are getting pushed aside so much, and only very few are actually getting real development that's just existing to exist. And the ending, it could have ended easily earlier.
I
but they're stretching it.
I feel like this last movie was their best movie. I enjoyed it a
The movie
lot.
had nothing to do with the comics. They're not canon.
But I do think that sometimes there are. So the reason a lot of times, in my opinion, they throw in so many characters and so many people is because they don't know who people are going to get like attached to. They have a core 3 essentially that people seem to connect with and people are obsessed with. So why take them away to bring in other people and test them out? I think that the rest, the times before were to figure out what people really wanted. And now that they've heard that, why? Give them more story, give them more things to connect with. I feel like they've done very well bouncing back and forth between the relationship that Deku has with Bakugo and even All Might and, you know, and Icy Hot. You
The only
know?
two characters that have been developed is Bakugo and Endeavor. They had such incredible development in season 6. They were definitely the highlights of the season. Bakugo, I might. It's
Don't spoil
I'm
it.
not gonna
Don't
spoil
spoil
it.
it. Just
What I'm
leave it
saying is that
alone.
it's a
No,
big
no.
moment for him in
That's
his
all.
character. And Endeavor also had extraordinary development. He finally has the consequences biting him back for being such a shitty dad, including about how one of the villains was actually his son, who he thought died and shit like that, but he was actually his dad. And he hates him passionately for how he put through his mom and stuff like that, and the hellish family they had. He actually tried to kill Todoroki as a baby because he wouldn't look at him and shit to get attention. So now he finally has to suffer the consequences, and you can tell that he's remorseful and he has to face the troubles that he tried to push aside, and like that everything comes to haunt someone no matter what. You can't escape what you've done.
No spoilers. You're spoiling something. They don't like it.
Oh, well,
So you got to stop talking about things that happened in the seasons that you already know.
Sorry, I didn't know that was a spoiler that came out a little bit ago.
In my opinion,
You said you just spoiled so much.
I'm sorry.
Well, in my opinion, I think that it's like when a show settles in and you just want more of it. I feel like they just settled in, and hopefully it'll continue for
I
the fans
agree.
of the show,
I
like
agree,
my
Doodle.
beautiful.
I'm not a
amazing
big fan of
Purpleberry.
like just stopping something just because. Like we kind of talked about
I mean,
that,
the
right? Like we
creator-
talked about with the movies and stuff. Like you don't just stop shit just to stop it. You if she's done, get somebody else. There's not like there's plenty of fans who can imagine more stories, right? So there's plenty of people who can keep it going with new shit.
Like every
My Hero might go in Naruto route.
the mangas, like I go ahead and I keep you guys up with every single, and I pre-order the one before when it comes out for pre-order, and you guys like are up to date with every single one of them. So
I always say back a little bit because I don't like to be. I like to watch it and then read it. So I haven't obviously read all of it, but
I feel like keep it going.
Yeah,
I think he'll go in Naruto route. Like after the main story concluded, he was done. So he handed off the keys to some other guy, and he made Boruto. People didn't like Boruto, but it still makes money. People watch it.
Okay,
And
so
My Hero,
so
same
then they
shit.
do like it
With My
right?
Hero, I mean, it's the diehards that are still watching it because it's part of the story.
Yeah, and again, when we talk about how diehards only make up so much.
In My Hero,
thank
same
you,
thing.
Purpleberry. She just said One Piece has been around for so long.
Oh, that's because the story, like he's still banging to write, and he still loves what he does.
Okay, but
and
other
his
people
stories
can do
keep
it, is
going.
what I'm saying. He's not. This is anime. It's not like these things are so unique in the world of anime. These are all just similar stories shared by different people, different takes on the same powers. Different. It's all the same shit. So there's plenty of people who can keep it going.
It is technically the same thing, and this is the thing, right? To get to the level of My Hero, and I would state this in my opinion. We've tried out a lot of animes, and a lot of them are a big freaking X. A lot of them. So to get something going, like My Hero, like Spy Family, in my opinion, like Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw is pretty good.
Jujutsu Kaisen,
has...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Jujutsu Kaisen is another one. The whole show was a stretch, because the movie was made as a short story, and he was done. But people wouldn't stop writing letters to please continue. He's like, fine. But apparently, he's looking to end the show, this comic, this year or early next year. He already wants to finish.
You know, I don't know if what you're saying is true, or are you just giving your spin on it? But
no, it's true.
Give me a second.
Sorry.
The way you talk about these people, they're such shitty fucking people.
Not
like
lying.
you fucking you hit it big where most people make things and never get seen. And you make something that's popular that people want more
love,
of,
and they have to beg you and plead you for it.
Fuck it, I'll do one. It's like, are you what's wrong with you, you ungrateful little shit? Like, be fucking happy that you made something that people fucking want to see.
You know how many people live to find that moment?
Dude, are you kidding
to
me?
have people want to see and hear and watch their stuff, and you are sitting there taking these stands. Like, what did you make it for then? For nobody to see or care for it?
Jujutsu Kaisen creator.
Bro.
I'm sorry.
Go back.
I bumped it. Yeah. The creator of Jujutsu Kaisen hopes to end it this year. And
okay.
Well, the My Hero author, he actually had an ending prepared since like 2018 or something like that. But it turns out that, he didn't. He kept stretching it, and he's finally going to end it. But he's done with it, kind of thing.
That's
ridiculous. It seems ridiculous to find people appreciate and love the things that you do, and then you're like, no thanks, I'm sick of it.
But it's fair. Naruto's same thing. Like, like I said, he was done with it, so he gave it to someone else. In Dragon Ball, you got to admire, like, the guy makes One Piece, he makes One Piece. He still does it. He still loves it. Dragon Ball, even though he's not consistent anymore, he still drops chapters every so often, and people still like it. So, you know, sometimes it can get frustrating to do the same thing. The guy who makes Spy Family, he actually doesn't like Spy Family. He does it because people like it. That's it. He hates the show.
It's such a weird freaking stance to take on something like that. That's so ridiculous.
Apparently, he just started a passion project.
Maybe that's why we're not. You can't go full blown on anime. Look at how they treat their fans.
Apparently,
right?
Yeah,
like, look at that, and then you can you know, find your value and be like, listen.
At least the One Piece fans are well fed because he loves this shit.
Well, this is what we're gonna do. This is the way we're gonna end it because I don't want to go deeper into these people. It's just ridiculous that they even think this. But listen, aside from that, this has been an awesome show, guys. Thank you so much for hanging with us.
Yes,
it has been fantastic. You know, this was episode 46 of our podcast.
On point.
But it is when we rebranded, it is our second episode of On Point. That's pretty cool. I really like this new brand. I hope you guys like it too.
Yeah, Shintaro mentioned that in the chat that he's loving the new name.
Yeah, I think it's pretty dope. So I appreciate it. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around with us. Thank you to our chat who comes through and hangs out with us. Love you guys. It's so awesome having you with us.
Yeah, thanks guys for watching.
And yeah, absolutely. And what I would hope is that you'll be back later on today. We should be doing our second PlayStation game for Doodles Never Have I Ever in celebration of the PlayStation showcase that we had this week.
Yes.
So, yes, aside from that, guys, if you liked it, please go ahead and hit that like button, share it out, and obviously hit that subscribe button to be able to see more of what we have coming. So, guys, with that, Doodle. Until next time.
Until next time.
Until next time.
You're intruding.
You're intruding. You're intruding.